push the boundaries of where the award works, on the basis that it really can work for anybody. So taking it to places.
It's all really important always to remember the victims and who are the victims in all this.
At exactly 9:15 a.m. this morning, May 30th, 2026, an unusual atmosphere of urgency was observed at the north gate of Buckingham Palace. Junior aides were seen hurrying through the corridors, clutching encrypted leather-bound folders, while high-ranking security officials engaged in hushed, intense conversations near the sovereign's private entrance. Public sources suggest that a legal document of immense significance was hand-delivered just moments ago, an event that many believe marks the point of no return in a silent but scorched-earth battle for the very soul of the British monarchy. This tension did not materialize overnight, but from a commentary perspective, the true signal of war was fired months ago, disguised as a mere piece of jewelry. On the morning of February 1st, 2026, at exactly 10:30 a.m., Queen Camilla arrived at Sandringham Church for the Sunday service. While most eyes were on King Charles III, royal experts were transfixed by a specific item pinned to the Queen's coat. It was the Tudor crown brooch, a masterpiece valued at approximately $45,000. To the casual observer, it was a beautiful accessory, but within the walls of the palace, this choice sent shockwaves through the royal ranks. The brooch features the exact Tudor crown symbol that the king chose for his official monogram upon his accession. By wearing it so prominently, many observers are currently speculating that Camilla was issuing a visual manifesto, a clear signal that she views herself as the co-guardian of the supreme royal authority, especially as the king continues to manage his health challenges. This raises the critical question whether the Queen was signaling the start of a broader campaign to consolidate control over the most valuable assets of the crown. Public sources suggest that behind the scenes, there has been a quiet but firm movement to audit and potentially reclaim high-value royal estates. If you find this investigation into the hidden layers of royal power fascinating, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the secrets of the palace. Your support helps us bring you the facts behind the headlines. The implications of that February morning were not lost on Prince Edward, the Duke of Edinburgh. From a commentary perspective, the Tudor crown brooch was the opening shot in what is now being called the Great Purge of 2026. The objective appeared to be the recovery of historic estates to strengthen the private treasury of the senior branch of the family. However, the move seems to have triggered an immediate and sophisticated defensive reaction from Bagshot Park, the residence of Prince Edward and his wife, Sophie. Bagshot Park is not merely a home, it is a fortress of legal and historical legitimacy, spanning 51 acres within the Windsor Great Park and boasting 120 rooms. The property has been the Duke's primary base since 1998. There is no official confirmation at this time, but many within the palace suggest that Camilla's strategic use of royal symbols was interpreted as a direct threat to Edward's long-term security. While the public saw a queen in a $45,000 brooch, the Duke of Edinburgh reportedly saw a looming attempt to renegotiate the terms of his existence within the royal fold. Many observers are currently speculating that the Queen's bold display of jewelry was intended to remind the younger brother of the king exactly where the true power lies. Yet, as the sun climbed higher at 10:45 a.m. today, May 30th, 2026, it became clear that the palace never saw Edward's countermove coming. Public sources suggest that the Duke has not relied on press releases or public interviews to defend his position. Instead, he has quietly activated a complex web of legal protections and historical precedents that date back decades. The quietest prince has seemingly outplayed the most influential woman in the monarchy, and as of this afternoon, the royal landscape will never be the same. This remains an analytical viewpoint, but the evidence of a deep-seated fracture is becoming impossible to ignore. There is no official confirmation of the contents of the files delivered this morning, but the visible panic among the staff suggests that a legal masterpiece has been unveiled. The question that remains is how the Queen will respond to a prince who refuses to surrender his legacy, even when faced with the full weight of the crown's symbolic power. The chessboard is set, and as of 11:15 am today, the next move belongs to the Queen. At precisely 12:45 p.m. on this afternoon of May 30th, 2026, the focus shifts from the gilded halls of Buckingham Palace to a quiet, imposing estate in the Surrey countryside. Bagshot Park, an architectural marvel consisting of 120 rooms and sprawling across 51 acres of prime land within Windsor Great Park, is far more than a residence. It is, from an analytical commentary perspective, the most sophisticated legal fortress ever constructed by a member of the House of Windsor. While many royals rely on the grace and favour of the reigning monarch, public sources suggest that the Duke of Edinburgh long ago foresaw a day when family ties might not be enough to protect his legacy. The true power of Bagshot Park lies buried within a dense stack of documents finalised in 2007. At that time, a significant transaction occurred between an entity known as Eclipse Nominees Limited and the Crown Estate. There is no official confirmation at this time regarding the internal discussions that led to this deal, but many observers are currently speculating that Prince Edward made a masterstroke by transforming his living arrangements into a commercial agreement. According to several public reports, the Duke paid a sum of £5 million up front to secure a 150-year lease. This raises the critical question whether Edward was intentionally insulating his family from future political shifts within the palace. By paying a fair market value at the time, he essentially ceased to be a tenant of his brother, the king, and became a legitimate leaseholder with rights that are notoriously difficult to overturn. From a commentary perspective, this distinction is vital. While other royal residences are often viewed as temporary assignments, Edward's claim to Bagshot Park is bound by the rigid laws of property and contract. This legal reality reportedly became a major point of friction as the clock struck 1:30 p.m. today. Public sources suggest that Queen Camilla has been a driving force behind a new wave of scrutiny directed at royal housing. Many observers are currently speculating that the Queen encouraged the Public Accounts Committee to launch a comprehensive review of all leasehold agreements held by the King's siblings. The stated goal was transparency and fiscal responsibility, but this raises the critical question whether the true objective was to find a weakness in Edward's armour. However, the investigators reportedly encountered what has been described as a wall of steel. Unlike other members of the family whose arrangements might be interpreted as informal gifts, Edward's £5 million payment and the 150-year duration of his contract create a unique legal barrier. Public sources suggest that when the committee reviewed the files of Eclipse Nominees Limited, they found a contract that was not only perfectly legal, but entirely commercially sound. This remains an analytical viewpoint, but it appears that the Duke's foresight has rendered him immune to the kind of administrative pressure that has recently plagued other branches of the family. There is no official confirmation at this time, but the atmosphere inside the palace at 2:15 p.m. today was said to be one of quiet realization. The mechanisms of the Public Accounts Committee, which usually provide a powerful tool for palace reorganization, seem to have been blunted by a single signature from 2007. This raises the critical question whether the attempt to reclaim Bagshot Park has inadvertently highlighted the Duke's untouchable status. From an analytical commentary perspective, the struggle is no longer just about a building. It is about the validity of a royal's right to self-determination. As the afternoon shadows lengthen over the Surrey countryside, the sheer permanence of Edward's 150-year lease stands as a silent challenge to those who seek to reshape the royal hierarchy. The question lingering in the air is what happens when a queen's influence meets a prince's ironclad contract. As the clocks inside the Windsor estate struck 3:15 p.m. today, May 30th, 2026, a lingering question from the spring months has suddenly regained intense focus. Public sources suggest that the financial autonomy of the Duke of Edinburgh has become a masterclass in strategic planning, one that has left the Central Palace administration in a state of quiet bewilderment. The controversy, which first emerged in March 2026, centered on a series of historic stables located approximately 400 meters from the main residence at Bagshot Park. From a commentary perspective, this was never just about bricks and mortar. It was about the very mechanism of royal independence. Many observers are currently speculating that the leak of these financial details was a deliberate attempt to portray the Duke as profiting unfairly from Crown land. The headlines at the time were blistering, suggesting the Duke was generating £130,000 per year by subletting these converted stables as high-end office spaces. This raises the critical question whether the public outrage was a manufactured tool designed to force a renegotiation of his lease. However, to understand the true depth of this conflict, one must examine how the mechanism of the Edinburgh estate actually functions. According to several public reports, the Duke oversaw the transformation of these outbuildings into elite corporate suites, which were then advertised for a monthly rent of £10,834. This revenue stream, totaling £130,000 annually, reportedly flows directly into the private accounts of the Edinburgh estate rather than the national treasury. While this initially sparked a wave of parliamentary scrutiny, the underlying legal reality is far more complex than the headlines suggested. There is no official confirmation at this time regarding the internal discussions between the Duke's lawyers and the Crown estate, but analytical commentary suggests the genius of the arrangement lies in a specific, almost hidden clause within the 2007 leasehold agreement. In a move that is described by experts as extremely rare for royal properties, the contract reportedly includes a provision allowing for a local change of use and, crucially, the right to sublet parts of the estate without requiring the written consent of the reigning sovereign. This raises the critical question whether Prince Edward, even nearly 20 years ago, was preparing for a future where his financial independence would be his only true shield. When the political and media pressure reached its peak in late March, many expected a retreat or a surrender of the office profits to the public purse. Instead, the Duke's legal team reportedly responded by producing a single, devastating page of the 2007 contract. From a commentary perspective, this was a tactical knockout. The document confirmed that the Duke was not merely occupying a family home by grace, but was managing a commercial asset, according to the strict letter of a legally binding agreement. There is no official confirmation at this time, but the future king was reportedly overheard, expressing a sense of grim admiration for the fact that his uncle's legal defenses appeared to be impenetrable. This raises the critical question whether the attempt to weaponize the subletting story actually backfired on those who initiated the investigation. Rather than exposing a scandal, the situation has merely highlighted the Duke's foresight. Many observers are currently speculating that the frustration felt within certain high-ranking circles of the palace is not due to any breach of rules, but rather the realization that the Duke has successfully bypassed the usual levers of monarchical control. As we reach the late afternoon of May 30th, 2026, the converted stables of Bagshot Park stand as a silent monument to a prince who understood that in the modern era, a well-drafted contract is more powerful than a crown. The mystery remains as to who exactly authorized the original audit, but the result has only served to solidify the Duke's position as an untouchable figure within the royal hierarchy. At exactly 4:45 p.m. on this final day of May 2026, the shadow of the High Court in London looms large over the royal landscape. To understand the gravity of the secret files reportedly submitted just hours ago, one must trace the rapid escalation of this silent conflict over the past 7 months. From a commentary perspective, what began as a subtle display of status has transformed into a high-stakes legal chess match that has left the central monarchy in an unprecedented position. The timeline of tension arguably reached its first boiling point in November 2025, within the historic walls of Windsor Castle. Public sources suggest that Queen Camilla's decision to wear the Greville Emerald Kokoshnik tiara valued at approximately $13 million, was far more than a fashion choice. For many observers, this was a clear visual signal of her tightening grip on the late Queen's most precious heirlooms. This raises the critical question whether the Queen was intentionally asserting her role as the ultimate gatekeeper of the royal vaults, a move that reportedly did not go unnoticed by other senior members of the family. By January 2026, the conflict moved from the ballroom to the court of public opinion. A comprehensive survey by YouGov sent ripples through the palace corridors when it revealed a staggering disparity in approval ratings. According to several public reports, Prince Edward and his wife Sophie enjoyed a positive rating of 51%, while the Queen's rating reportedly sat between 12 and 19%. From an analytical commentary perspective, many observers are currently speculating that this surge in popularity for the Edinburghs created an underlying sense of resentment within certain palace offices, as the quietest royals became the most respected. This raises the critical question whether the events of March 2026 were a direct response to those poll numbers. When the subletting story broke across Fleet Street, accusing the Duke of generating six-figure sums from converted stables, public sources suggest that the source of the leak may have originated from within the Queen's own administrative circle. There is no official confirmation at this time, but the timing was described by insiders as being too precise to be coincidental. Yet, what was intended to be a scandal quickly turned into a display of strength. By April 2026, the Duke's legal team had reportedly finalized their defense. Behind the closed doors of Edward's private office, a legal knockout was delivered. Public sources suggest that the lawyers successfully argued that his residency and inheritance rights at his Surrey estate were entirely beyond the reach of any internal palace audit. Analytical commentary suggests that this was the moment the balance of power shifted, as the Duke proved that his legal standing was far more secure than anyone had anticipated. The climax of this internal struggle reportedly occurred just 2 days ago, on May 29, 2026. A closed-door meeting at Buckingham Palace is said to have left King Charles III in an impossible position, caught between the unwavering resolve of his wife and the ironclad legal rights of his youngest brother. This brings us to the events of today, May 31, 2026. As of 5:15 p.m. this afternoon, a confidential filing under the reference number EDWEP 2026 has reportedly been lodged at the High Court. Many observers are currently speculating that this document is a strategic move to protect specific honorary items and artifacts belonging to the Duke of Edinburgh's legacy items that public sources suggest the Queen had hoped redistribute. There is no official confirmation at this time regarding the contents of the filing, but the very existence of this document raises the critical question whether the Duke is no longer playing defense. For the first time in modern history, a prince of the blood appears to be using the highest courts in the land to draw a permanent line in the sand against the influence of the Queen. As the final hours of May 31, 2026, draw to a close, a chilling silence has descended upon the corridors of power. While the public remains focused on the outward splendor of the monarchy, public sources suggest that a seismic shift is occurring behind closed doors, one that could redefine the royal hierarchy for generations. Just a few hours ago, a report emerged from a highly respected legal circle in Surrey, hinting at the existence of a document that many observers are currently speculating is the ultimate wildcard in Prince Edward's defensive strategy. From an analytical commentary perspective, this document is far more than a mere memorandum. Public sources suggest that it is a handwritten set of instructions purportedly penned by the late Prince Philip, specifically detailing the distribution and protection of what are described as honorary items. These artifacts, which range from personal military relics to unique heirlooms of the Edinburgh legacy, are the very same pieces that some believe Queen Camilla has been seeking to centralize under her own influence. This raises the critical question whether the Duke of Edinburgh has been holding this ultimatum in reserve. waiting for the precise moment when his family's position was most under threat. There is no official confirmation at this time regarding the validity of this note, but the implications are staggering. Many observers are currently speculating that if this handwritten testament is presented to the High Court in the coming week, it could do far more than just protect Edward's personal property. Analytical commentary suggests it may actually challenge the legal framework through which certain prominent pieces of the crown jewels are currently being utilized. This raises the critical question whether the Queen's recent high-profile appearances, adorned in the most significant gems of the vault, could be scrutinized under a new and uncomfortable light. The stakes have never been higher. As of 6:45 p.m. today, May 31st, 2026, the legal file marked EDWEP 2026 sits on a judge's desk, containing secrets that could potentially stall the Queen's momentum. Public sources suggest that the palace is now facing a definitive crossroads. Many observers are currently speculating whether Camilla will choose to de-escalate the situation or if she will attempt to trigger what insiders call the Andrew option, a strategic move to socially and officially isolate the Duke of Edinburgh, much like his older brother was distanced in previous years. However, unlike those who came before him, Edward appears to have anchored his survival in the bedrock of the British legal system. From an analytical commentary perspective, the Quiet Prince has transformed his reputation from a supporting member of the firm into a formidable guardian of the Windsor legacy. This raises the critical question whether the Queen Consort is prepared for a prolonged public battle that could expose the inner workings of royal inheritance to the eyes of the world. There is no official confirmation at this time, but the atmosphere at Buckingham Palace is reportedly one of intense calculation. The move that was intended to consolidate power may have instead awakened a sleeping giant within the family. Will the handwritten wishes of a departed patriarch be enough to halt the ambitions of the current Queen? Or will the palace find a way to bury this forgotten will before it reaches the light of day? The answer is locked within the pages of the EDWEP 2026 file, and the world is waiting with bated breath. To stay updated on every twist and turn of this unprecedented royal showdown, make sure to follow the Royal Insider Network. We are committed to bringing you the deepest analysis and the most exclusive insights as this historic drama unfolds. Don't forget to engage with us in the comments below. Do you believe the Duke's legal fortress will hold, or is the Queen's influence simply too great to overcome? Join the conversation and stay tuned to the Royal Insider Network for the next breaking update. 2:45 a.m., Saturday, February 28, 2026. Deep within the King's state bedchamber at Buckingham Palace, an encrypted black phone 3 vibrates against a mahogany nightstand. The caller ID flashes a secure line from Aman Jordan.
Let's go back to Andrew. Extraordinary times last night when Prince William, the Prince of Wales, arrived with the Princess of Wales at the BAFTA Awards, the Showbiz Awards.
This is not a social call. This is the activation of the Red Folder Protocol, a mechanism reserved for national security threats involving the monarchy. King Charles III reaches for the device, but the line goes dead. Seconds later, a notification pings on the phone of Prince William, the Prince of Wales.
To watch that film, and he said, "And I am not in a calm state." That was a window, a little peek behind the closed doors of Buckingham Palace.
A single, chilling message from Prince Harry that reads, "The dice is cast." This is breaking news. It is 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and the British monarchy has just entered its most dangerous 48 hours in modern history. What was framed as a humanitarian visit to Jordan by the Duke and Duchess of Sussex has just been exposed as a shadow diplomatic coup.
They are, but it's been a horrible 6 years for the British royal family. Harry and Meghan left in 2020, accused them of racism, and created chaos surrounding the family. Prince Philip dies. Queen Elizabeth dies. The King has cancer. Catherine has cancer.
If you want to stay ahead of the curve as this royal investigation unfolds, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications now. We are tracking the minute-by-minute collapse of the House of Windsor. Drop a comment below. Do you think Harry has finally gone too far? While the world was sleeping, the legal team in room 1844 at Buckingham Palace was frantic.
This escalating crisis surrounding his brother is taking a terrible toll on Charles.
At precisely 2:55 a.m., 10 minutes after the ignored call, investigators uncovered a digital trail that changes everything. Harry and Meghan have not just been visiting refugees, they have officially signed what is described as a strategic partnership agreement with a non-transparent Middle Eastern investment fund under the banner of the Sussex dynasty. By operating under this new entity, Harry has bypassed the royal prerogative, the king's exclusive right to conduct foreign diplomacy. According to legal experts, this triggers the Royal Financial Management Act, amended in 2025, which classifies unauthorized state-level negotiations by members of the royal family as economic treason. The consequences are no longer just about optics or bad press, they are about the total erasure of the Sussex line. Let us break down the mechanism of destruction that was set in motion just hours ago. At 3:30 a.m., a senior palace aide was overheard in a secure hallway stating, quote, "The king is no longer looking for an apology. He is looking for a pen to sign the Deprivation of Titles Act," end quote. This is the nuclear option. Here is how the mechanism works. Step 1. The Cabinet Office declares that a member of the royal family has acted in bad faith against the interests of the United Kingdom. Step 2. This triggers an automatic review of all subsidiary titles. Step 3. And this is the shockwave. The removal of Harry's dukedom does not just affect him. Under the new 2026 legal framework, it triggers a genetic purge of titles. This means that Archie and Lilibet, currently known as Prince and Princess, would be stripped of their royal status instantly. They would no longer be members of the House of Windsor. They would be Master and Miss Mountbatten Windsor private citizens, with zero security, zero funding, and zero claim to the throne. The timeline of this 72-hour collapse is staggering. On February 26 at 11 a.m., the High Court leaked sealed file number 26GB001. This file contained evidence that Prince Andrew had funneled £50 million into a blind trust for Archie. By February 27th, at 3 a.m., armed police raided Royal Lodge. They weren't just looking for Andrew's financial records, they were looking for the link between Andrew's offshore accounts and Harry's Jordan operation. Now, on February 28th, at 8 a.m. in Amman, Meghan Markle appeared before a select group of international reporters. Her statement was a declaration of war. She told them, quote, "We are not here to represent the past. We are here to define a modern global monarchy that operates beyond the constraints of London," end quote. The king is now trapped in a pincer move. On one side, his brother Andrew is facing potential arrest for financial crimes. On the other, his son Harry is building a rival court in the Middle East. Stay with us. In the next part of this dossier, we reveal the secret document found in Prince Andrew's safe during the raid, a document that contains Harry's signature and a plan for what is being called the shadow succession. Is King Charles about to abdicate to save the monarchy from his own children? Like this video if you believe Prince William needs to take control now. The clock is ticking toward midnight, and the king is holding a pen that could end the Sussex line forever. The most shocking detail is yet to come. Why did William suddenly order a lockdown of Kensington Palace at 4 p.m. today? The answer lies in a single phone call, intercepted by British intelligence. Stay tuned. The ticking clock of the British monarchy has shifted from a warning to a death knell. We are now witnessing the systematic dismantling of the House of Windsor. Executed across 72 hours of calculated betrayal and state-level retaliation. This is the timeline of the collapse. It began on February 27th at 11 a.m. A digital leak from the High Court, designated as Sealed File 26GB001, sent shockwaves through the Treasury. This was no mere gossip. It was a financial forensic report. It proved that Prince Andrew had covertly funneled £50 million into a blind trust registered in the name of Archie Mountbatten Windsor. This wasn't just a grandfatherly gift. It was a massive movement of capital intended to fund a rival court. The immediate consequence: the total freezing of the Sussex accounts within the United Kingdom and a panic at the Bank of England. If this investigation is hitting you as hard as it's hitting the palace, take a second to hit like. It tells the algorithm this news cannot be suppressed. By 3 a.m. on February 28th, the silence at Royal Lodge was shattered by the boots of armed tactical units. This was the raid that changed the game. Security sources confirmed that police didn't just seize files, they tore out the entire server architecture of Andrew's private estate. A senior officer was heard saying through a radio crackle, quote, "We have the encryption keys. The link to Jordan is confirmed," end quote. A warrant for the arrest of a senior royal member now hangs in the air, waiting for the king's signature. While the raid was unfolding in London, the Sussexes were making their move 5,000 miles away. At 8 p.m. at Queen Camilla International Airport in Jordan, Meghan Markle stepped before a wall of cameras, her expression one of cold triumph. She didn't talk about charity, she talked about power. She stated, quote, "We are not here to represent a crumbling institution. We are representing the future of a modern monarchy that is global, digital, and beyond the reach of outdated decrees," end quote. This was the declaration of a shadow queen. The response from the British state was instantaneous and brutal. At 6 a.m. this morning, March 1st, an emergency session of the cabinet was called at 10 Downing Street. The Prime Minister issued a chilling ultimatum to King Charles III. The mechanism is simple but lethal. If the King does not immediately sign the executive order to strip Harry of his titles and remove his children from the line of succession, the government will move to cut the sovereign grant entirely. How does this work? Step 1. The government declares the monarchy a reputational liability to national security. Step 2. The flow of taxpayer money stops. Step 3. The monarchy effectively goes bankrupt. Now, at 9 a.m. on this Sunday morning, King Charles III sits alone in his private study. On his desk lie 2 documents that will define his legacy and the fate of his grandchildren. The first is the Sovereign Decree of Deprivation, which would render Archie and Lilibet commoners with no royal protection and no future in the United Kingdom. The second is the Declaration of Voluntary Abdication. Charles is being forced to choose, save his son or save the throne. But the most horrifying detail has just emerged from the servers seized at Andrew's home. There is a third name on the list of those involved in this Middle Eastern shadow succession. It is someone currently working within the king's inner circle. Who is the mole? And why did Prince William just order a total communications blackout at Kensington Palace? How do you erase an entire branch of a royal family tree in exactly 60 seconds? You don't use fire, you use the law. What we are witnessing right now is the activation of the most brutal legal instrument in the history of the British monarchy, the genetic titles purge. As of this hour, March 1st, 2026, the Sussex name is being systematically scrubbed from every official record in the United Kingdom. If you thought this was just about Harry and Meghan's reputation, you were wrong. This is about the total legal annihilation of their children's future. Archie and Lilibet are the primary targets of a mechanism designed to protect the crown by amputating those who threaten it. If you believe the king is right to protect the monarchy at any cost, hit the like button now. If you think this is a step too far, tell us why in the comments. We are reading every single one as this crisis escalates. Let's pull back the curtain on the shadow mechanism of destruction. It starts with step 1, the activation of the Royal Integrity Act of 2026. This is a new sharp-edged law designed for this exact scenario. The trigger condition is clear. Any member of the royal family who accepts funding or enters into strategic partnerships with hostile entities or organizations that pose a risk to national security is subject to immediate title review. Harry's handshakes in Jordan, the secret strategic partnership with Middle Eastern funds, did more than just create a headline. They tripped a silent alarm in the Cabinet Office. Once that alarm sounds, step 2 begins. The domino effect. This is where the purge becomes unstoppable. By the authority of the King in Council, Harry is stripped of his dukedom. But it doesn't stop there. Under the new legal framework, the loss of the Duke of Sussex title triggers an automatic disqualification from the role of Councillor of State. Harry ceases to be a legal representative of the King. He becomes, in the eyes of British law, a foreign agent. But here is the part that has left the world in shock. Step 3. The genetic purge. In the past, royal titles were considered a birthright. Not anymore. Under the 2026 Act, the titles of Prince and Princess for Archie and Lilibet are classified as subsidiary honours. This means their royal status is entirely dependent on the standing of their father. When Harry falls, the children fall with him. In 60 seconds of legal processing, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet are erased. They become Master and Miss Mountbatten Windsor, private citizens, commoners. They are removed from the line of succession as if they were never born into it. The legal consequences are devastating. As private citizens, they lose all right to taxpayer-funded security. They lose their diplomatic passports. Most importantly, they are barred from entering the United Kingdom under any royal protocol. They would have to apply for visas like any other foreign national. At 9:30 a.m., a source inside the Home Office confirmed that the Sussex entry in the Sovereign Grant database has already been flagged for deletion. King Charles III is not just punishing his son, he is protecting his successor, Prince William, from a rival dynasty in California. The question everyone is asking at this moment, did Harry know this was the price of his Jordan deal, or was he gambled away by the very people he thought were his allies? Stay tuned, because the most terrifying piece of evidence is about to be revealed. We have obtained the final notice sent to Harry's legal team just 4 hours ago. It contains a deadline that expires at midnight. If you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. The situation has officially escalated beyond a family crisis. We are now entering the realm of state-level high treason. On the screen right now is a digital reconstruction of a document currently circulating within the highest echelons of Whitehall and the Foreign Office. It is stamped with the highest security clearance, top secret. Its codename is Project Sphinx. This MI6 intelligence report, finalized only hours ago, confirms a terrifying reality. The strategic partnership Harry signed in Jordan was not a humanitarian gesture. Project Sphinx identifies the Middle Eastern financial entities involved as sophisticated shells suspected of laundering millions for active militant extremist groups. By standing next to these financiers, by lending the prestige of the British royal bloodline to these meetings, Harry has effectively provided a royal cloak to organisations that are on the UK's terror watch list. If you are shocked by this level of betrayal, hit the like button and subscribe now. This is a developing story that the mainstream media is still too afraid to touch. We are bringing you the raw dossiers that the palace wants to remain buried. The authority ladder has now reached its highest rung. The Parliamentary Select Committee on Intelligence and Security has just completed a 300-page indictment of the Duke of Sussex. This is no longer a tabloid rumour. This is a formal government record. The committee has concluded that Harry's shadow diplomacy has caused irreversible damage to the UK's strategic interests in the Middle East. But the most devastating blow is directed at King Charles III himself. A confidential memo from the Prime Minister's office has accused the King of, quote, passive shielding of treasonous activity, end quote. The argument is simple. By failing to strip Harry of his titles months ago, by allowing him to retain the HRH status in all but name, the king has enabled this crisis. The mechanism of the king's downfall is now visible. It is called the Protocol of 1688. This is a constitutional weapon of last resort, named after the year the monarchy was fundamentally reshaped by Parliament. Here is the ultimatum currently sitting on the King's desk at Buckingham Palace. Charles has until precisely 12 midnight tonight to sign the royal decree of deprivation. The consequences of refusal are absolute. If the clock strikes 12 and Harry still holds his titles, Parliament will trigger the 1688 Protocol. This would move to declare the king constitutionally unfit to protect the realm. It is, in every sense of the word, a forced abdication. The government would bypass the king, appoint Prince William as Prince Regent, and the first act of the new regency would be the total erasure of the Sussex line. The king is trapped in a room with no exits. If he signs, he destroys his son and his grandchildren's future. If he refuses, he loses his throne and destroys the 1,000-year-old institution he spent his entire life waiting to lead. But there is one more detail in the Project Sphinx report that has the palace in a state of pure terror. Among the intercepted communications between Jordan and London, there is a recurring mention of a third party, a senior royal currently residing within the United Kingdom, who has been leaking the king's private, medical and security schedules to Harry's team. Who is the mole inside the palace? And why did Prince William just authorize the use of MI5 to sweep the private apartments of a member of the inner circle? The Oak Room at Windsor Castle is a sanctuary of history, lined with the portraits of monarchs who survived wars, plagues, and revolutions. But at 4 a.m. this morning, February 28, 2026, the atmosphere inside was not one of peace, but of a brutal, final fracture. King Charles III was seen by staff standing alone by the tall Gothic window, his silhouette hunched against the pre-dawn grey. He was not looking at the estate, he was looking at the end of his legacy. Just moments before, the Prince of Wales had delivered the most devastating ultimatum in the history of the House of Windsor. Prince William did not shout. He spoke with the cold, surgical precision of a future king. His words, witnessed by a high-ranking equerry, were, "If you choose Harry, you will lose the kingdom, and you will lose me." This is the reality of the shadow succession. The palace is no longer a home, it is a crime scene. While the king was being confronted by his heir, a tactical team was seen moving through the storage wings of Windsor. They weren't looking for jewellery. They were seizing wooden crates labelled with the names of Archie and Lilibet crates, filled with toys and childhood belongings once stored at Frogmore. Each box was sealed with yellow forensic tape marked evidence. If this visual of a family being dismantled in real time is as chilling to you as it is to us, click the like button and make sure you are subscribed. We are providing the only unfiltered timeline of this collapse. What do you think is in those crates? Share your theories in the comments below. But the most shocking detail of this dossier isn't what was found in London, it's what was hidden in Amman. Intelligence sources have flagged a catastrophic breach of trust. Meghan Markle is reportedly in possession of high-definition recordings of every private conversation held with the Jordanian officials and the Middle Eastern financiers identified in the Project Sphinx report. This isn't a documentary, it is royal blackmail on a global scale. These recordings are being described as an insurance policy. The mechanism is simple and terrifying. If King Charles signs the Deprivation of Titles Act, the Sussexes are allegedly prepared to leak conversations that would implicate the British monarchy in a web of unauthorized Middle Eastern back-channeling. Meghan has turned a diplomatic visit into a hostage situation. This is a level of tactical aggression the palace was never prepared for. And here is the bitter, heartbreaking truth at the center of this storm: Archie and Lilibet, two innocent children 5,000 miles away, have become nothing more than bargaining chips in a high-stakes game of constitutional poker. They are being used as leverage by a father blinded by ambition and a grandfather paralyzed by his own health and heart. The king is being told that to save the crown, he must orphan his grandchildren from their heritage. To Harry, the children are shields. To William, they are legal liabilities that must be removed from the line of succession to prevent a future civil war within the monarchy. As the sun rises over London on this final Saturday of February, the king is running out of air. He is caught between the sun, who is threatening to burn the house down, and the son who is ready to lock the doors and let him burn with it. The evidence boxes from the Oak Room have just been loaded into a secure van headed for the Home Office. What was found inside that prompted William to cut off all communication with his brother? The answer lies in the encrypted drives hidden among the nursery rhymes. The final hour is here. Stay tuned. The final hour of the House of Windsor is no longer a metaphor. It is a scheduled event. As the clock ticks toward the midnight deadline of March 1st, 2026, the intelligence community and the British government are preparing for three distinct outcomes. Each one ends with the world as we know it changed forever. The first path is Scenario Alpha, the total collapse. Probability, 20%. In this version of reality, King Charles III allows his paternal instincts to override his constitutional duty. He refuses to sign the Deprivation of Titles Act. The consequence is immediate and lethal. Parliament activates the nuclear clause, cutting the sovereign grant to zero. The monarchy, stripped of its funding, becomes a museum piece overnight. Prince William, seeing his inheritance burned to the ground by his father's indecision, formally renounces his right to the throne in protest. The 1,000-year-old institution collapses in less than 7 days. If you believe the monarchy has reached its expiration date, hit that subscribe button now. But if you're waiting for the hammer to fall, drop a yes in the comments. We are watching the gears of history grind in real time. Scenario Beta, the sacrifice. Probability, 30%. Charles signs the order. Harry is stripped of everything. Archie and Lilibet are erased from the line of succession. But the story doesn't end there. From their villa in Amman, the Sussexes activate their scorched earth policy. They release the Jordan tapes, hours of covertly recorded audio that expose the dark underbelly of the king's private dealings and the true extent of Prince Andrew's financial crimes. The crown survives, but it is left scarred, bleeding, and permanently diminished in the eyes of the public. However, the intelligence dossier points to Scenario Gamma as the most likely outcome, the transition. Probability, 50%. At exactly 11:59 p.m. tonight, King Charles III will sign the instrument of abdication. He cites health and the need for national unity as his reasons. But the world will know the truth. By abdicating, Charles passes the burden to his son. Prince William becomes the Prince Regent. His first official act at 12:01 a.m. tomorrow will be the surgical removal of the Sussex branch. He signs the decree that Harry, Meghan, and their children are officially foreign nationals with no royal affiliation. Archie and Lilibet become commoners in an instant. Their royal heritage deleted to save the institution William was born to protect. But as the transition begins, a new, even darker chapter has just been uncovered. Remember the tactical raid on Prince Andrew's royal lodge? Inside the heavy steel safe in Andrew's study, investigators found a single, handwritten document titled the Exile List. It is a list of individuals to be removed from the UK if the Jordan project ever went public. Prince Harry is at the top of that list. His name is circled in red, but it is the second name on that list that has sent the palace into a state of total lockdown. It is not Meghan Markle. It is a senior member of the royal family, currently serving in a high-ranking official capacity, someone who has been whispering in the king's ear while feeding Harry intelligence for years. At 4 p.m. today, Prince William ordered the immediate suspension of all communication at Kensington Palace. Security teams are currently sweeping the private apartments of a member of the inner circle. The third traitor has been identified. Who is the person who betrayed King Charles from within his own shadow? And what was the final message found in Andrew's safe that prompted William to move his father toward abdication? The dossier is being decrypted as we speak. You have exactly 12 hours until the midnight deadline. Don't go anywhere. The final reveal of the exile list will be our next emergency broadcast. Click the bell icon and stay alert. The Game of Thrones is over. The hunt for the traitor begins. Everything you thought you knew about the Sussex Jordan visit was a lie. The real war is inside the palace walls. Stay tuned. The grey, slate-coloured dossier, currently sitting on the King's mahogany desk, is not a report. It is a death warrant for the royal status of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. At exactly 8:45 this morning, March 1st, 2026.
What do you make of these? This is their third weird pretend royal tour. They went to Nigeria, they went to Colombia, and now they've gone to Jordan, to the Middle East. What is this all about?
The Princess Royal, Anne, executed a surgical strike that the mainstream media is only now beginning to comprehend. There was no motorcade and no fanfare. Princess Anne arrived at Buckingham Palace in a single, unmarked vehicle, carrying the evidence that officially terminates the era of Sussex entitlement. As we speak, police units are currently inside Royal Lodge, tearing up the floorboards in an escalated search that has sent shockwaves through the royal estate. But the real story isn't just about Andrew's downfall.
I wonder who's going to pay for it. We don't know. And they're not in it at all. They can't help.
It is about the cold, calculated trap Anne has set for Harry, which expires in less than 12 hours. How did a private debt of $890,000 transform into a constitutional execution? Why did King Charles step aside to let his sister become the Crown's ultimate enforcer on this specific day? What secret documents did Anne pull from the palace vaults that link the Epstein investigation directly to the financial survival of the Archewell Foundation?
Well, I think they'd know they'd been in papers and people would say, oh my goodness, they've come, aren't they good, aren't they kind? But I don't think they're either good or kind. I think they want attention.
And most critically, what is the Clause 4 mechanism that is being activated right now to erase Harry from the line of succession forever? This is breaking news. We are documenting the final collapse of a royal dynasty in real time. If you believe the time for talk is over and the time for accountability has arrived, hit the like button immediately and subscribe to this channel. We are the only outlet with access to the timeline of the Grey dossier. Join our community of over 500,000 investigators by...
And leave it at that. This is just a show off. And perhaps even, I think, that it would be a different way of having a royal family.
Clicking subscribe and hitting the notification bell. Leave a comment below with the word accountability to show you are standing with the Princess Royal today. The neo-realism of this morning's events is chilling. Exactly 48 minutes after Princess Anne entered the palace with that dossier, the legal landscape of the United Kingdom shifted. At 9:33 a.m., the High Court warrant for Royal Lodge was not just extended, it was weaponized. Insiders claim that as the forensic teams moved in, Anne was overheard by senior staff delivering a sharp, narrated ultimatum. She reportedly stated that transparency is the non-negotiable price of survival, and
anybody there, they can just, they're just going round and listening, pretending it's so difficult. Give them a hug. Meghan likes to give someone a hug.
Those who cannot pay it, either in truth or in sterling, no longer belong to the firm. This was a direct reference to the $890,000 court mandate Harry has been desperately trying to ignore. But Anne has bypassed the financial argument entirely. While Harry and Meghan are currently in Jordan, attempting to curate a high-gloss image of international diplomacy, the Grey dossier has rendered their PR strategy obsolete. The Princess Royal has leveraged her position within the Privy Council to activate the most feared mechanism in British law, Clause 4 of the Regency Act. For years, this was considered the nuclear option, a tool designed only for the most extreme cases of institutional threat. By triggering this review, Anne is formally arguing that Prince Harry is legally unfit and unavailable to hold any constitutional standing. This isn't just about losing a house, it is about the legal erasure of his identity as a prince of the blood. Under Anne's clinical guidance, the palace has opened the digital vaults that were once sealed to protect the family's image. By allowing the Metropolitan Police unrestricted access to these files, she is proving that the Crown is willing to sacrifice its own to save the institution. The subtext for Montecito is lethal. If Prince Andrew can be arrested in Windsor, Prince Harry can be extradited from California. The deadline is today, March 1st, 2026. The clock is ticking toward a fiscal and legal midnight that the Sussexes cannot survive. The grey folder contains the definitive trace of every dollar, every memo, and every secret agreement Harry thought was buried. The Princess Royal has the hammer, and as of this hour, she has already begun to strike. Stay tuned as we dive into the next phase of this investigation. The secret Jordan phone calls and the sudden freezing of the Archewell accounts. The invisible contract is dead. The Grey dossier is the only law that remains. To understand the sheer magnitude of the Grey dossier currently sitting on the King's desk, we have to look at the 10 days of chaos that led us to this high-stakes cliff edge. This isn't just a series of unfortunate events, it is a meticulously documented collapse of the old royal order, piece by piece. Our investigation, supported by exclusive data from the Right Royal podcast and internal palace logs, reveals a timeline that reads more like a geopolitical thriller than a royal diary. The first domino fell on February 21, 2026. In a move that sent tremors through every royal residence in Europe, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor was officially arrested at Windsor. For years, the Royal Lodge was considered an untouchable fortress, but on that Saturday, the police cordons went up and the lodge was placed under total forensic lockdown. The image of the King's brother being taken into custody was the point of no return. Less than 24 hours later, on February 22nd, the contagion spread to the diplomatic corps. The former UK ambassador to the United States, Peter Mandel, was arrested in London. The charge? Alleged connections to the resurrected Epstein files, the very files Princess Anne has now ordered to be fully transparent. This was the moment the Epstein network in the UK began to unravel in real time. The palace was no longer just dealing with a family scandal, they were managing a national security crisis. As London burned with these revelations, a strange and calculated distraction appeared thousands of miles away. On February 24th, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle suddenly surfaced in Amman, Jordan. They framed it as a humanitarian mission for refugees, but our sources suggest a much darker motive. While the Sussexes were busy curating photo ops in the Middle East, back at their empty $14 million estate in Montecito, the real work was beginning. On February 25th, while Harry and Meghan were still abroad, independent forensic auditors moved in not to the house, but into the digital ledgers of the Archewell Foundation. They were searching for a specific trail, the backflow of charity funds into private UK-based trust accounts. The investigators were looking for the money Harry intended to use to fight his legal battles. The Montecito shell game was finally under the microscope of the Crown's financial hit squad. By February 26, the psychological weight of this 10-day storm became visible on the face of the future king. Prince William appeared at the BAFTA Awards in London, a night that should have been a celebration of British film. But the atmosphere was jarring. When asked by an executive if he had seen the latest emotional film releases, William's response was a rare, unscripted moment of vulnerability. He reportedly stated, "I need to be in a calm state to watch that, and I am absolutely not in a calm state right now." It was a public admission that the family was imploding behind the scenes. If you are following this timeline and seeing the patterns, you realize this is the end of the business as usual era. We are tracking every move, from the forensic audits to the BAFTA hecklers. Before we get to the Gatcombe freeze that happened just 48 hours ago, make sure you have liked this video. If you want us to continue exposing the documents the mainstream media ignores, subscribe right now and turn on the notification bell. Tell us in the comments. Do you think William's not calm state is a sign of a looming abdication or a total royal purge? The penultimate strike occurred on February 27th at Gatcombe Park. Princess Anne held an emergency summit with high-level officials from the UK Treasury. The topic was the permanent freezing of every remaining taxpayer-funded subsidy and security allowance linked to the Sussexes. This wasn't a suggestion, it was a total fiscal quarantine. Anne was reportedly resolute, telling the Treasury officials that the public purse would no longer underwrite a lifestyle of exile and litigation. That brings us to today, March 1st. The countdown has reached 0. The $890,000 legal bill Harry was ordered to pay the Home Office is now due in full. Every hour that passes without a confirmed wire transfer brings the bailiffs closer to those storage units at Windsor. The 10-day collapse is complete, and the Princess Royal is standing at the finish line with the grey dossier in hand. The time for humanitarian distractions in Jordan is over. The bill has arrived, and the Crown is ready to collect. The $890,000 legal bill currently paralysing the Duke of Sussex is merely the tip of a much more dangerous iceberg. While the public focuses on the court order, the real engine of destruction is a clinical financial trap designed by Princess Anne, known internally as the audit to enforce mechanism. This is the moment where Meghan Markle's carefully curated Archewell Foundation transforms from a philanthropic shield into a legal cage. To understand how Princess Anne Don Meghan Vaudung Kung, how she has pushed Meghan into a corner, we must look at the three-step sequence of this regulatory execution. Step 1. The activation of suspicion. The moment Prince Harry lost his final appeal against the UK Home Office, it didn't just end his quest for taxpayer-funded security, it triggered a massive regulatory tripwire. Under UK law, the Charity Commission, the ultimate watchdog of public funds, is mandated to investigate the solvency and financial integrity of any high-profile individual with outstanding debts to the state who also operates charitable entities within British jurisdictions. Princess Anne reportedly ensured that this microscope was focused directly on every pound and pence connected to the Sussex name. The loss of the lawsuit was the trigger, the audit is the bullet. Step 2. The Archewell link. This is where the investigative breaking news gets explosive. Our sources suggest that the Princess Royal has demanded a full clarification of Archewell's recent expenditures, specifically targeting Meghan's sudden faux royal tour of Jordan. The question being asked by London auditors is lethal. Are the donations of well-meaning individuals being used to underwrite the Sussexes' private international PR campaigns, or even more damningly, were charity assets shifted to provide liquidity for Harry's staggering legal debts? The mechanism is simple but devastating. If auditors find a direct link between the Archewell Foundation's donor funds and the payment of Harry's private legal fees, the foundation is no longer a charity, it is a personal slush fund. As we speak, investigators are reportedly cross-referencing the wire transfers from the Jordan trip against Archewell's offshore accounts. The optics are toxic. Imagine the global revulsion if it is proven that money meant for refugee relief was diverted to pay for a duke's failed litigation against his own family. Before we reveal the blacklist consequences that take effect in less than 12 hours, take a moment to engage with this investigation. If you want more deep dives into the financial secrets of the Crown, hit the like button and subscribe to this channel right now. We are the only outlet tracking the audit to enforce timeline. Leave a comment with the word audit if you believe every royal charity should face this level of scrutiny. Step 3. The March 1st breaking point. Today, March 1st, 2026, is the hard immovable wall. This is the audit to enforce deadline. If Archewell cannot provide a verified, transparent ledger of its global transactions by the end of business today, the Foundation faces the ultimate regulatory execution. Princess Anne has pushed for the maximum penalty. Archewell will be placed on the UK and EU financial blacklist. How it works is chilling. Once a foundation is blacklisted, it is legally prohibited from receiving funds from any UK or European bank. It loses its tax-exempt status instantly. Major corporate partners, including Netflix and remaining American donors, would be legally forced to sever ties to avoid being implicated in financial mismanagement or charitable fraud. The trap is now closed. Meghan Markle's faux royal diplomacy in Jordan has not provided the distraction she hoped for. Instead, it has provided the evidence Princess Anne needed. The audit to enforce mechanism has moved from theory to reality. If the Sussexes cannot prove their transparency by midnight, the foundation that was supposed to fund their billionaire lifestyle will be frozen solid, leaving them with nothing but the massive, compounding debt of their own arrogance. The Grey dossier has done its work. The countdown to the blacklist has begun. While the world's cameras are currently fixed on the glossy, high-definition images of Meghan Markle in Amman, Jordan, acting with the poise and precision of an international head of state, the reality behind the lens is far more desperate. This is not a humanitarian mission. It is the ultimate distraction PR maneuver, a final, high-stakes gamble to outrun a financial and legal execution that is already at her doorstep. Meghan's sudden appearance in the Middle East, flanking high-level officials and visiting refugee centres, is a calculated psychological operation. She is acutely aware that back in London, the arrest of Prince Andrew and the subsequent forensic opening of the palace vaults have created an institutional vacuum. By stepping into this void, Meghan is attempting to project a singular, powerful image to the global media. That while the British monarchy is drowning in the Epstein contagion, she is the only working royal left on the world stage who remains untainted and relevant. It is a bold attempt to seize the moral high ground while the family she abandoned is distracted by the police cordons at Royal Lodge. But our investigation has uncovered the cold reality that Meghan's team is trying to bury under these humanitarian headlines. The Jordan trip did not happen by accident on this specific date. It was launched exactly 48 hours after a process server attempted to deliver the third consecutive High Court summons to the Sussexes' representatives in London. While Meghan smiles for the cameras in Jordan, the third summons is officially active. This is not a request for a conversation. It is a final legal demand for the $890,000 in unpaid government legal fees. The head of state persona she is currently wearing is a mask designed to hide a looming status as a judgment debtor. Before we expose the Delaware strategy that Princess Anne's investigators have just intercepted, take a second to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. We are tracking the movement of every asset and every dossier in this royal endgame. Join our community of over 500,000 investigators who refuse to be distracted by the PR spin. Leave a comment below with the word SHIELD if you think assets hidden in offshore accounts should be seized to pay public debts. The most explosive detail in the Grey dossier currently on the King's desk pertains to what is known as asset shielding. Sources from within the office of the Princess Royal confirm that Anne's financial intelligence team has intercepted a series of frantic, high-level communications. The documents suggest that Meghan is currently attempting to execute a transatlantic transfer. Specifically, she is moving the legal ownership of her remaining UK-based physical assets, including the priceless royal memorabilia and heirloom furniture still held in the Windsor storage units, into a newly formed corporate entity based in Delaware, USA. The mechanism is classic corporate warfare. By moving the assets into a Delaware shell company, the Sussexes hope to place them out of the reach of British High Court bailiffs. They are trying to create a legal firewall that would prevent the UK government from seizing and auctioning off their royal heritage to satisfy the $890,000 debt. Delaware's strict privacy laws are the intended shield, but Princess Anne has already anticipated this move. The authority of the Princess Royal is now being leveraged to freeze these transfers before they can be finalized. Anne has reportedly secured a Mariva injunction, a powerful legal tool that freezes assets globally to prevent them from being dissipated or hidden before a judgment can be satisfied. Meghan Markle may be acting like a queen in Jordan, but back in the United Kingdom, she is being treated like a high-risk flight risk. The Delaware strategy has been compromised. The bailiffs are no longer just waiting at the door. They are now armed with the legal authority to dismantle the Sussexes' corporate firewall. The Jordan distraction has failed to stop the clock. The final march toward the March 1st deadline continues, and the Princess Royal has the evidence to prove that even a duchess cannot hide from a high court execution. The clock has reached the final hour of March 1st, 2026, and the silence from Montecito is deafening. Behind the high-gloss imagery of the Jordan tour, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are facing a brutal, three-pronged choice. Princess Anne's audit to enforce mechanism and the forensic explosion of the Prince Andrew investigation have stripped away every remaining layer of royal protection. Our investigative team has mapped out the scenario tree currently being debated in the halls of Buckingham Palace, and the outcomes are a devastating spectrum of ruin and sacrifice. Scenario 1 is the total bankruptcy outcome, the nuclear option. If the $890,000 wire transfer does not hit the Home Office account by the close of business today, Princess Anne has already authorized the High Court bailiffs to move. This is the physical liquidation of the Sussexes' royal existence. The locks on the Windsor storage units will be snapped. The military uniforms, the heirloom furniture, and the personal artifacts will be catalogued for public auction to recoup the debt. Simultaneously, the Charity Commission will suspend Archewell's operations globally, freezing all remaining liquid capital. In this scenario, Meghan is officially quarantined from every international royal circuit, her status reduced to a delinquent debtor of the state. Scenario 2 is the Jordan bailout, a desperate short-term survival strategy. Reports suggest that Meghan has been utilizing the Amman tour to secure private, high-interest loans from Middle Eastern business tycoons and personal associates. This cash injection would cover the $890,000 debt and stop the bailiffs from auctioning off their history. However, it comes with a lethal condition from the UK government. To prevent further charitable fraud, the Home Office would demand the appointment of government-selected trustees to the board of the Archewell Foundation. Harry would keep his uniforms, but he would lose every ounce of control over his foundation's finances. He would become a puppet of the very state he tried to sue. Before we reveal the clean slate sacrifice, the scenario our sources confirm as the most statistically likely endgame, take a moment to secure your place in this investigation. If you want the unvarnished truth about the Sussexes' financial collapse, hit that like button and subscribe right now. We are the only platform tracking the Grey dossier in real time. Join our community of over 500,000 investigators and click the notification bell so you never miss a breaking update. Leave a comment below with the word title if you believe Meghan should be stripped of her Duchess status today. According to insider reports from the Privy Council, the most realistic scenario is the clean slate sacrifice. This is a deal brokered by Princess Anne and presented through King Charles's legal team. The terms are surgical. Prince Harry must immediately liquidate his private stock portfolios to pay the $890,000 debt in full. In exchange for this unconditional surrender, the Crown will cease fire on the forensic investigation into Archewell's financial irregularities, preventing a criminal referral. But there is a final, crushing price for this immunity. The deal requires Meghan Markle to voluntarily and permanently renounce the title of Duchess of Sussex. Under this agreement, Harry and Meghan would be granted financial amnesty, but their royal brand would be legally vaporized. They would be allowed to survive as private citizens, but they would be stripped of the Duchess name that currently drives their commercial value. Princess Anne is reportedly pushing for this specific outcome because it achieves the ultimate royal goal, the total separation of the Sussex brand from the British monarchy. It is a titles for immunity trade. If Harry accepts, he saves his foundation from a criminal audit but destroys the one thing Meghan values most, her royal prestige. The trap has reached its final stage. The clean slate sacrifice is on the table, and the clock is ticking toward the midnight deadline. The Duchess of Sussex is standing on a precipice, and the Princess Royal is ready to push. Stay tuned for our final update. The Windsor storage unit lock break, and the final phone call from Arman. The end is no longer a theory, it is happening now. As the final hour of March 1st, 2026 approaches, the $890,000 legal debt has transformed from a financial crisis into a mere distraction. While the world watched the bailiffs prepare their engines at Windsor and scrutinized Meghan Markle's glossy appearances in Jordan, a much darker, more seismic revelation was being pulled from the abyss of the newly opened palace files. This is the ultimate black hole for the House of Sussex, a document that doesn't just threaten their bank accounts, but their very freedom. Our investigative team has received a chilling confirmation from sources close to the Metropolitan Police team currently searching the Royal Lodge. Amidst the digitized vaults and physical ledgers Princess Anne forced open this morning, investigators have reportedly discovered a catastrophic piece of evidence. A leaked internal memo dated late 2019, just months before the announcement of Megxit. This memo is not about finances or security. It is a recorded summary of a high-level, closed-door confrontation. The contents are lethal. The document reportedly suggests that a prominent member of the Sussex household was fully aware of the extent of Prince Andrew's connections and the mounting Epstein evidence long before the public eruption of the scandal. But even more damning is the strategic intent noted in the margins. The memo implies that the Sussexes didn't just know the truth, they used it. It suggests that Andrew's dirty laundry was being held as negotiation leverage to force the Crown into accepting the terms of their royal exit and their demands for a half-in, half-out billionaire lifestyle. If this memo is authenticated and released by the Princess Royal today, the narrative of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle as the victims of the institution will be incinerated instantly. They would be reframed not as exiles seeking privacy, but as co-conspirators in a high-stakes game of institutional silence. Using the criminal misconduct of a family member as a bargaining chip for a commercial exit is a level of scandal that goes beyond drama. It borders on extortion against the British state. Princess Anne now holds the ultimate kill switch. As the March 1st deadline for the legal fees expires at midnight, she has a choice. Does she accept the $890,000 wire transfer and keep the blackmail memo buried? Or does she decide that the Sussexes have become a terminal infection that must be excised with total transparency? If Anne authorises the release of this 2019 document, Harry and Meghan won't just be financially hobbled, they will be legally and socially radioactive, implicated in the cover-up of the greatest royal scandal of the century. The clock is ticking toward a fiscal and moral midnight. The grey dossier on the King's desk is no longer just a bill, it is a confession waiting to be heard. March 1st was supposed to be the day Harry paid his debts. Instead, it has become the day the Crown decides if it will finally destroy the Sussex legacy to save itself. The invisible contract has been shredded, and the palace files are screaming the truth. This is a developing investigation, and the next few hours will determine the future of the British monarchy. If you want to be the first to know the moment the blackmail memo is verified, you must take action now. Hit the like button to show you demand the truth, and subscribe to this channel immediately. We are tracking every move from the palace to Oman in real time. Join our community of over 500,000 investigators by clicking the notification bell so you don't miss the midnight execution. Leave a comment below with the word justice if you believe the 2019 memo should be made public. Thank you for standing with us on this historic day of reckoning. The clock is at 0. The truth is coming. Stay tuned. The silence at 742 Riven Rock Road is no longer the silence of privacy. It is the silence of a tomb. At exactly 9:26 a.m. today, February 26, 2026.
With is Kinsey Schofield, host of Kinsey Schofield Unfiltered, who is with me now. Kinsey, a dramatic few days, of course, for the royal family.
The grand illusion of the Sussex Empire officially met its fiscal guillotine. This is not just a rumour from the tabloids. This is breaking news confirmed by legal filings and leaked internal ledgers that we have spent the last 4 hours verifying. The forever home in Montecito, the $14 million sanctuary that was supposed to represent Harry and Meghan's total independence from the British monarchy.
I know. It's a hard knock life, I guess. With the amount of teddy bears we know that the man collects, surely he's got a rocking horse somewhere within.
Is being liquidated under the crushing weight of a financial collapse so severe, no PR spin can save it. Look closely at the iron gates of the estate this morning. Pinned next to the security keypad is a document that serves as the smoking gun for this bankruptcy. It is a yellow default notice from the Santa Barbara County tax collector. The amount owed in unpaid property taxes for 2026 is precisely $100,000 to $34,000.
That situation.
Why is he not allowed to ride horses?
It's not a good look. Basically, it's the optics. It's one of the reasons why overnight, remember the story was he wasn't supposed to move to Sandringham until Easter.
$228.34. For a couple that lectured the world on global wealth management and corporate ethics, being unable to pay the tax bill on their own home is the ultimate public humiliation. But the taxes are just the tip of the iceberg. Our team has obtained internal daily ledger documents leaked from a Tier 1 Hollywood accounting firm representing the couple's interests.
Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, former Prince Andrew, doing the princely wave around the Windsor estate at tourists, smiling and posing for the camera.
These records reveal a catastrophic activation of what insiders are calling the Netflix death knot. Do you believe the Sussexes can survive this financial freefall? Or is this the inevitable result of burning every bridge to the palace? Drop a yes or no in the comments right now. And if you want to stay ahead of the most explosive royal updates before they hit the mainstream, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You do not want to miss the next 5 parts of this investigation. The Netflix death knot is a legal mechanism that was triggered at precisely 11:59 p.m. on February 15th. When the Sussexes signed their reported $100 million deal, they agreed to a cultural impact metric. The mechanism is simple. Step 1. If the content, specifically the Sussex Kitchen series, fails to meet the global relevance quota by the Q1 2026 deadline, an early exit penalty is triggered. Step 2. Netflix stops all future payments. Step 3. And this is the kill shot. The streaming giant triggers a clawback provision. According to the leaked ledger, Netflix is now demanding a refund of exactly $124,700,000. This includes unearned advances, production overheads, and penalties for failing to deliver the promised content. The streaming giant is no longer playing nice. Their corporate legal team in Los Angeles has reportedly filed protective liens against all Sussex-linked bank accounts. The desperation behind the scenes has reached a fever pitch. Narrated reports from a senior aide within the Montecito compound describe a scene of pure chaos. Just 48 hours ago, Prince Harry reportedly locked himself in his study to make a desperate 14-minute encrypted call to Hollywood mogul Tyler Perry. According to sources close to the situation, Harry was heard begging for emergency bridge financing to cover the security costs and the tax debt. The exchange was brief and brutal. Perry, who is currently embroiled in his own legal battles and civil suits for sexual assault and harassment, reportedly gave a cold, definitive refusal. As the aide recounts it, Perry told Harry that his association with the Sussexes had become a reputational radioactive zone. He allegedly told the prince, "I cannot bankroll a war against the British Crown when my own house is on fire." Harry didn't just lose a friend, he lost his last financial lifeline. Meghan's personal trust has been restructured. Harry's access to royal inheritance remains frozen under the new Windsor Doctrine, and the Archewell Foundation's donor base has evaporated by 84% since the beginning of the year. The Montecito mansion is now an albatross, with a weekly burn rate of $85,000 just for security and maintenance, and no incoming revenue from Spotify or Netflix. The math simply does not work. This isn't a strategic move to a new location. This is an eviction by reality. As we speak, movers are being seen at the back entrance of the estate. The furniture, the art, the dream, it is all being packed. But where do you go when you have burned your royal bridges, lost your corporate partners, and the world is watching your bank account hit zero in real time? Before we move to the next part, where we reveal the secret Royal Order number 17 that stripped Harry of his final protections, make sure to like this video. Your engagement helps us bring these hidden truths to light. The house is silent, the money is gone, the gate is locked. And for Prince Harry, the realization has finally set in. Freedom isn't free, and the bill has just come due. Stay tuned. While the moving crews at 742 Riven Rock Road are busy taping up crates of designer shoes and discarded scripts, 8,000 miles away in the desert heat of Amman, Jordan, a much more dangerous game is being played. It is 7:26 p.m. local time, and what was billed as a philanthropic tour for the World Health Organization has just detonated into a diplomatic suicide mission. This is no longer about a failed Netflix deal. This is about national security, international terror links, and a direct assault on the authority of King Charles III. The timeline of this scandal is a masterclass in reputational disaster. At exactly 10:00 a.m. on February 26, 2026, Harry and Meghan touched down in Amman on a private charter, attempting to project the image of freelance royals on a global stage. By 11:30 a.m. the following day, February 27th, they were photographed smiling and shaking hands at Questscope, an NGO youth centre. But while the Sussexes were chasing a PR win, the reality of their associations was being unmasked in real time. At precisely 2:00 p.m. today, the media organisation Honest Reporting dropped a world-exclusive investigation that has sent shockwaves through the British Home Office. This is the detail that should make every viewer sit up and pay attention. A review of verified Facebook and Telegram logs belonging to the very staff members Harry and Meghan were just laughing with has exposed a dark reality. These staff members were found sharing posts glorifying designated terrorist organisations, celebrating rocket attacks, and praising militants. How did the Sussex PR team miss this? Or worse, did they simply not care? If you find it outrageous that a member of the British royal family is being used as a shield for terror-linked propaganda, you need to speak up. Tell us your thoughts in the comments should the government intervene immediately. And if you are tired of the mainstream media sugarcoating these royal tours, hit the like button and subscribe to this channel for the raw, unedited truth. The authority staircase in this crisis is steep and lethal. We are talking about the British Home Office and the Jordanian Ministry of Interior now coordinating on a guilt by association protocol. Here is the mechanism you need to understand. In Jordan, the law is absolute. Insulting the monarchy or undermining the dignity of the state is a criminal offence that carries a mandatory sentence of at least 3 years in prison. by conducting an unsanctioned fake royal tour that bypasses the king's authority and links the crown's image to extremist-affiliated individuals. Harry is playing with fire in a geopolitical powder keg. One witness inside the NGO Centre described a chilling moment when Harry's security team reportedly pulled him aside. The voiceover narration of that exchange is haunting. The security aide reportedly whispered to Harry, "Sir, we need to leave. The digital logs are live. The association is already public." Harry reportedly brushed him off, insisting on finishing the photo op. He chose the image over the security of the crown. This is the half-in, half-out nightmare that Queen Elizabeth II warned would destroy the institution. Harry is no longer an internationally protected person, yet he is acting with the perceived authority of a prince. This tour isn't just a mistake. It is a calculated attempt to force a diplomatic relevance that he no longer possesses. The palace's response is currently being drafted in ink that will not dry. The king's authority has been placed in direct jeopardy on Jordanian soil. This isn't just a PR blunder, it is a constitutional crisis being broadcast to the world. And as we will see in the next segment, the price for this Jordanian betrayal is a legal hammer that will fall harder than anything Harry has ever faced. Stay with us. At exactly 5:30 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time today, February 27th, 2026, a single chilling sentence was published in the Royal Gazette. It was the constitutional equivalent of a death sentence for the Sussex branch of the House of Windsor. It is called Royal Order No. 17, and it has just changed the British monarchy forever. Standing beneath the historic vaulted ceilings of St. George's Hall, the very place where he has stood for centuries of royal tradition, Prince William, acting with full sovereign authority in the King's ongoing absence, invoked Royal Separation Protocol 14.7. This is a legal mechanism of such extreme gravity that it has sat dormant, untouched, since the 1936 abdication crisis of Edward VIII. William didn't just issue a statement. He performed a surgical amputation of his own brother from the institution of the crown. This is the birth of the Windsor Doctrine, a three-step eradication process designed to protect the monarchy at all costs. Step 1. The immediate and indefinite suspension of all titles, heraldry, and royal rights. Step 2. The total freezing of all Crown estate inheritance and trust assets linked to the Sussex line. Step 3, and perhaps the most dangerous for Harry, the total revocation of sovereign travel protections. Prince Harry is no longer an internationally protected person. He is now a private citizen with no diplomatic immunity, a $124 million debt to Netflix, and a revoked passport. Does this feel like justice to you? Has William finally done what needed to be done to save the throne? If you think this move was long overdue, type justice in the comments right now. We are seeing history being written in real time, and your voice needs to be part of the record. Hit that like button if you support William's decisive action, and make sure you are subscribed, because what comes next regarding the children is even more explosive. The most haunting detail of this legal execution occurred 8,000 miles away from London. At the Amman Regency Hotel in Jordan, Harry was reportedly in room 402 when the notification hit his iPad. A senior security aide, speaking on the condition of total anonymity, described the scene as the end of a hallucination. For exactly 48 minutes, Harry sat in total silence, scrolling through the 300-page legal brief that accompanied the order. He realized, in less than an hour, that he was no longer a prince of the realm. He was a man without a country, a man without a budget, and a man without a shield. The voiceover of Prince William's private address to the Privy Council earlier today provides the cold, hard logic behind this move. According to transcripts leaked to our investigative team, William told the council, "I have spent years trying to bridge a gap that my brother insisted on widening. Today, I am closing that gap forever. Bloodline is not a shield for betrayal, and nobility is not a birthright, it is a behavior." He reportedly ended the meeting with 5 words that will define his future reign: "The crown survives the man." William didn't just strip the titles, he erased the identity. By invoking Protocol 14.7, he has ensured that Harry can never again use the royal brand for profit or diplomatic leverage. While Harry sits in a hotel room in Jordan, realizing his diplomatic passport is now invalid, the palace has already begun the process of removing his name from every official register. This was the surgical precision of a king-in-waiting who has decided that the survival of the institution is worth the loss of a brother. But while Harry's titles are gone, the battle for the next generation has only just begun. Stay with us as we move into the most heartbreaking chapter of this collapse: the secret dossier that has placed Archie and Lilibet under the direct control of the Crown. The most devastating weapon deployed against the Sussexes today was not a bank statement or a tax lien. It was a 117-page confidential dossier that has shattered the couple's control over their own family. This document, submitted with surgical timing to the Royal Family Tribunal by Lady Louise Windsor, has unmasked what insiders are calling a horrific and systematic commercialization of Archie and Lilibet. At 22 years old, Lady Louise has stepped out of the shadows to deliver a report so explosive that it has forced the British state to intervene in a private domestic matter for the first time in a century. The evidence staircase within this dossier is chilling. It includes leaked media licensing contracts for a branded entertainment series titled Sussex Kitchen. In these documents, the children were not listed as heirs or even as individuals. They were legally classified as intellectual property assets. According to the dossier, Meghan's team had already negotiated a $15 million deal where the children would feature as recurring fictionalized characters to sell organic home goods and lifestyle products. Does the idea of using royal children as intellectual property shock you as much as it did the palace? Tell us in the comments below, is this the ultimate betrayal of a parent's duty? If you believe the children deserve a life away from the cameras, hit that like button right now. We need to show the world where the public stands on the exploitation of the next generation. The legal mechanism used to dismantle this scheme is the rarely invoked Lineage Safeguard Clause. This is a powerful statute that grants the sovereign the authority to protect royal heirs from what the tribunal has officially labelled parental exploitation. By commercialising the names and images of children in the line of succession, the Sussexes triggered a constitutional emergency. The consequence is immediate and absolute. Archie and Lilibet have been placed under Crown guardianship oversight. This is the new brutal reality for Harry and Meghan. Princess Catherine and Duchess Sophie have been officially named royal matrons and legal custodians of the children's royal status and upbringing. In a statement delivered by Prince William to the Privy Council at 4:15 p.m. today, his words were unyielding. He stated, "Their future will not be bartered in the court of public opinion, nor will it be auctioned through entertainment platforms. They are children of Windsor, not products of a brand. The digital erasure of the Sussex children has already begun." If you visit the official royal website right now, you will notice a haunting change. The names of Archie and Lilibet have been removed from the direct line of succession. In their place sits a cold digital footnote that reads, "Status updated. Royal Custodial Tribunal ruling, February 2, 2026. But the most damning moment of this entire saga occurred yesterday at exactly 5:14 p.m. on the northwest veranda of the Montecito estate. A leaked audio recording, captured by a high-gain microphone and now circulating in intelligence circles, reveals Meghan Markle in a state of total collapse. She was heard screaming 5 words into her phone that have now gone viral and defined this tragedy. She didn't scream about her love for her children. She didn't scream about her family being torn apart. She screamed, "I gave them the brand." Those 5 words told the world everything it needed to know. For Meghan, the children were the brand. They were the leverage. They were the IP, and now the Crown has taken that IP back. As Harry sits in a hotel room in Jordan, he is realizing that by trying to build an empire, he has lost his heirs. The custody siege is over, and the palace has won. Stay tuned, because next we reveal the extraction of Prince Andrew, which served as the final warning for Harry's own fate. To truly understand the sheer terror currently paralyzing Prince Harry in his Jordan hotel suite, you have to look at what happened at Windsor exactly 12 hours ago. While the world was focused on the Sussexes' diplomatic blunder in the Middle East, the British Crown was conducting a clinical extraction of one of its own. At precisely 2:00 a.m. today, under the cover of a freezing, rain-soaked night, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor was officially evicted from Royal Lodge. The images captured by long-range lenses are haunting and serve as a brutal preview of Harry's own future. Andrew was spotted in the back of a black Range Rover, his face a mask of defeat, clutching a single, weathered teddy bear against his chest. It is the iconic image of the total fall of a prince. He hasn't just been moved, he has been discarded. His new residence is Marsh Farm, not a royal estate, but a dilapidated 3-bedroom cottage sitting on a notorious floodplain on the edge of the Sandringham estate. There are no staff quarters, no security gates, and perhaps most insultingly, Andrew has been officially banned from riding horses. The symbolic stripping of his princely hobbies is now complete. Is this the level of discipline you expect from a modern monarchy, or has Prince William gone too far in punishing his own family? We want to hear from you. Drop a comment right now and let us know. Is William a visionary leader or a cold-hearted king? If you believe that accountability must start at the top, hit that like button and subscribe. We are documenting the zero-tolerance era of the House of Windsor, and you won't find this level of detail anywhere else. The authority staircase in this eviction was managed by the Royal Protection Command with military precision. This was not a friendly relocation, it was a tactical strike. At the exact moment Andrew was being ushered into the car, police units conducted a simultaneous search of both Royal Lodge and Marsh Farm. Their objective? Internal sources confirmed they were looking for financial records and private correspondence that Andrew reportedly tried to hide or destroy during the moving process. The Crown was making sure that nothing, absolutely nothing, was tossed into a fireplace or shredded before the auditors arrived. This is the message being sent across the Atlantic to Montecito. If the king can throw his own brother into a floodplain cottage for damaging the reputation of the Crown, Harry's $14 million mansion is nothing but a glass house. Andrew was the beta test. He was the trial run for how to dismantle a royal life. Harry is the full execution. The palace has proven it has zero tolerance for reputational liabilities or part-time royals. The police didn't just move a man, they scooped him up to protect the institution's secrets. By the time the sun rose today, Andrew's staff had been dismissed, his horses had been reallocated, and his royal life had been erased. As Harry sits in Amman, watching the footage of his uncle's humiliation, he is realizing that his turn is coming next. The Windsor Doctrine is in full effect, and under King William, bloodline is no longer a shield, it is a target. The dream of a half-in, half-out lifestyle has ended in a rain-soaked driveway at Windsor. But the final chapter of this saga isn't about Andrew. It's about the desperate 3:00 a.m. move Harry is about to make. Stay with us for the final conclusion. Montecito is dark. The moving boxes are packed. The Sussex dream is a corpse waiting for burial. The crucial question is no longer what went wrong, but what happens tomorrow? As of this moment, February 27th, 2026. The futures of Harry, Meghan, and their children are balanced on a knife's edge. Our team of royal analysts has mapped out the 3 most likely scenarios, and the reality is more brutal than any tabloid has yet dared to print. The first, and most probable, scenario is what we are calling the Kent surrender. With a 75% probability, Harry, broken by financial ruin and the loss of his children's royal status, will sign a legally binding non-objection agreement. This will allow Archie and Lilibet to be relocated to a neutral, Crown-managed estate in Kent under the direct guardianship of Princess Catherine. In exchange for his cooperation, Harry may be offered a quiet life as a broken citizen, returning to the UK to live in a grace and favour cottage, not far from where Prince Andrew now sits in his own gilded cage. The second scenario is the Hague nuclear option, with a 15% probability. In this explosive outcome, Meghan Markle flees California for a non-extradition country. From there, she would launch a lawsuit against the British government and the royal family at the International Court of Justice in The Hague, accusing them of kidnapping and human rights violations. This would be her final PR weapon, using her children not as a brand, but as martyrs in a global war against the monarchy. Finally, there is the total dissolution, with a 10% probability. In this scenario, Meghan files for divorce immediately to protect her remaining personal assets. The legal narrative would be ruthless. She would blame Harry's mental instability and his family's institutional cruelty for the collapse, positioning herself as the sole victim in a story of betrayal. Which of these scenarios do you think is most likely to play out? Let us know in the comments below. Is Harry going to surrender, or will Meghan go to war? This is the moment to make your voice heard, so subscribe and hit that bell icon, because the next 24 hours are going to be a firestorm, and we will be here to cover every second of it. But the most shocking development of this entire saga happened in the dead of night, just hours ago. At exactly 3:15 a.m. this morning in Amman, Jordan, a black SUV with tinted windows and diplomatic plates, was spotted leaving the back entrance of the Amman Regency Hotel. It wasn't Meghan. It was Prince Harry, alone, clutching a single, slim briefcase. He was seen entering the British consulate, a building that represents the very crown that has just disowned him. Sources inside the Foreign Office are now reporting that Harry is seeking sovereign repatriation. He is reportedly ready to make a deal. The offer on the table is devastating. He will trade every secret he has on Meghan's commercial dealings, her political ambitions, and the inner workings of the Arkawell empire in exchange for one thing: the safety and future of his children. But Prince William's final line in Royal Order No. 17 remains an iron wall. No return shall be contemplated until the children's full legal identities are submitted, verified, and recognised by the Crown. Harry may be ready to talk, but it may already be too late. The house in Montecito is silent. The money is gone. The gate is locked. The question now is, who will survive the fallout of the House of Windsor? The next chapter is already being written. 1556, February 25th, 2026, London. The High Court of Justice, Courtroom No. 7. The atmosphere is not just heavy, it is suffocating. The ink on the most anticipated custody agreement in royal history is literally not yet dry.
I do think that the king does need to say what did he know, when did he know it, and what did he do.
After months of grueling negotiations, Prince Harry and Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, had finally reached a settlement regarding the future of Archie and Lilibet. The world was prepared for a press release about co-parenting and moving forward. But in one singular, heart-stopping moment, the entire narrative of the British monarchy shifted on its axis.
As further revelations of Andrew's actions during his time as prince come to light, questions will inevitably be asked of the royal family's seeming blind spots about his behaviour.
Prince Harry did not leave the room. Instead, he reached into his leather briefcase and pulled out a dossier marked with a deep red seal, Sovereign Alpha. This is breaking news at exactly 3:56 p.m. Today, Prince Harry dropped what legal experts are calling a nuclear strike on his own divorce proceedings. He did not just challenge the deal, he destroyed it. As he sat there, head bowed, eyes fixed on the floor, his hands were visibly trembling. He pushed that file across the mahogany table toward the startled justices.
He was a very boisterous child. I think he had attention deficit syndrome and had to constantly be occupied. But he was arrogant and pompous. I had lunch yesterday with someone who'd been...
Inside was not just a legal motion, but a high-definition digital recording. Its length? Exactly 12 minutes and 40 seconds. Its content? A total nightmare for Buckingham Palace and the Montecito elite alike. Insiders present in the courtroom describe a scene of absolute cinematic chaos. As the Sovereign Alpha file was opened, Harry reportedly whispered in a voice barely audible to the court recorders, "I cannot let them be pieces in this game anymore. Not after what I heard, not after what they planned." Before we dive deeper into the contents of that 12-minute recording, make sure you are subscribed to this channel with notifications turned on. This story is developing by the minute, and you cannot afford to miss the next update. Hit that like button right now to show your support for the truth behind the palace walls.
So does this grim chapter in royal history have the potential to tarnish the reputation of the royal family as a whole? And should this make us reconsider the legacy of the late Queen Elizabeth II?
The recording is allegedly a captured conversation between Meghan Markle and an unnamed financial intermediary, but the shocking twist involves a third party, Prince Andrew. Harry's accusation is explicit. He is not just claiming parental interference, he is alleging a coordinated effort between the Duchess of Sussex and the disgraced Duke of York to utilise the royal children as collateral for offshore financial movements. We are talking about a transition from a civil divorce into a full-scale criminal investigation, involving charges of treason and international money laundering. The reaction was instantaneous.
Who knew him as a teenager, and talks about a trip on Royal Britannia where he refused to say goodbye to the staff who'd been taking care of him.
Meghan Markle, who had been sitting with a composed, icy smile just moments before, underwent a physical transformation. According to eyewitnesses, her face went from pale to a mask of pure fury. She did not wait for the judge to speak. She slammed her hand against the table with a sound that echoed like a gunshot through the silent courtroom. "You are destroying everything we built for a lie," she reportedly screamed at Harry. He didn't even look up. Within less than 3 minutes, the Duchess of Sussex had gathered her things and stormed out of courtroom 7, flanked by her security detail, leaving the legal team and the prince in a vacuum of stunned silence. Why does this change everything? Because the Sovereign Alpha file suggests that Prince Andrew, a man the palace has spent years trying to erase from the public eye, was secretly advising Meghan on how to bypass royal trust restrictions. This isn't just about who gets the children for Christmas anymore. This is about the Crown's security. If Harry's recording is authenticated, it proves that a secret alliance was formed between the two most controversial figures in the Windsor family tree. They weren't just talking about family, they were talking about licensing the royal identity to foreign entities in the Middle East, specifically a syndicate in Bahrain, to cover a massive bridge loan of exactly $9,446,800. The court has immediately frozen the custody agreement. The deal is not just off, it is a crime scene. Prince William was reportedly briefed via an encrypted line within 10 minutes of Harry's move. The Sovereign Alpha recording is now being transported under armed guard to a secure facility for forensic analysis. This is the death blow Harry has been holding back, and he chose the final second of the final hour to strike. What do you think was said in those 12 minutes? Did Harry do the right thing by dragging Andrew back into the light to stop Meghan? Comment below with truth if you stand with the prince, or tell us if you think this is a desperate act of revenge. We are reading every single comment. As the clock ticks toward 5 p.m. in London, the palace has issued a no-comment status, but the lights are burning bright at Clarence House. The settlement is dead. The war has just truly begun. Stay tuned as we break down the secret financial codes found in the Sovereign Alpha file in our next segment. Don't go anywhere. 48 minutes. That is the exact duration of the emergency summit that has just concluded behind the reinforced doors of the morning room at Clarence House. This wasn't a family chat, it was a war council. Under a red alert security protocol, King Charles, Prince William, and Princess Anne convened to review a document that has effectively ended the Sussexes' standing in the United Kingdom forever. On the mahogany table lay a thick, blue-bound dossier that insiders are calling the smoking gun of the decade, the withdrawal file. The tension inside that room was reportedly sub-zero. No staff were allowed, no phones were permitted. The withdrawal file contains certified, time-stamped records from the Brentwood School in California, dated exactly 14 days ago. These documents provide irrefutable evidence that Meghan Markle unilaterally withdrew Archie and Lilibet from their primary education without a single notification to the royal welfare representatives or the UK child officers. In the eyes of the British Constitution, this was not a parental choice, it was a tactical removal of the 6th and 7th in line to the throne. Prince William was reportedly heard through the heavy oak doors, his voice cold and precise. She thinks they are hers to trade, wait forgotten what and who they represent. But the true horror of the withdrawal file lies in Section 4. This is where the story shifts from a custody dispute into a high-stakes financial crime. According to the evidence provided by Prince Harry himself, Prince Andrew, the man the palace has spent years trying to sideline, has been acting as the grand architect behind Meghan's secret financial exit strategy. The file reveals a series of encrypted communications, proving that Andrew utilized his deep-seated diplomatic contacts in the Middle East to help Meghan establish 3 separate offshore entities in the Kingdom of Bahrain. The goal? To tarnish the Crown's transparency and launder the multi-million-dollar confidentiality payments from the initial custody deal. These Bahraini accounts were designed to hide the money from royal oversight and international tax authorities, providing Meghan with a war chest that was entirely off the grid. This is no longer a collection of tabloid rumors or internet whispers. Our investigative team has confirmed through 2 independent sources within the Whitehall Treasury that Prince Andrew provided the royal seal of credibility to Middle Eastern bankers who would otherwise have never touched the baddie, Sussex's distressed Archewell funds. If you are as stunned by this level of deception as the King himself, we need you to hit that like button and subscribe to this channel right now. We are monitoring the palace's reaction in real time. Drop a comment below with the word betrayal if you think Prince Andrew and Meghan Markle should face a full parliamentary inquiry. We are reading every single one of your responses. The withdrawal file concludes with a chilling realization. Meghan was never planning to honor the co-parenting agreement. She was preparing for a total financial and physical disappearance. However, she underestimated the silent sentinel of the family. Princess Anne reportedly delivered the final ultimatum of the 48-minute meeting, stating, "If they wish to operate in the shadows, we will show them exactly how cold the darkness of the law can be." But the question remains, why now? What would drive Meghan to risk everything on a Bahraini shell company? The answer lies in a staggering debt that has been hidden from the public eye until this very hour. As the meeting at Clarence House broke up, a new set of numbers began to circulate through the London financial district numbers that lead directly to the gates of Montecito. In our next segment, we reveal the exact dollar amount of the foreclosure notice that was served to the Duchess just 72 hours ago. The financial ruin is no longer a threat, it is a reality. Stay tuned. $9,446,800. That is the exact figure of the catastrophic financial void currently swallowing the Sussexes' lifestyle. While the public has been fed a carefully curated narrative of independence and success, the financial records filed with the Santa Barbara County Clerk's Office tell a far more sinister story. As of this morning, the sprawling Montecito estate, the symbol of their defiance against the Crown, has officially entered the notice of default stage. The dream of a Californian royal court has turned into a brutal foreclosure nightmare. This isn't just about missing a few mortgage payments. The Sovereign Alpha file reveals that Meghan Markle had secured a high-risk bridge loan of exactly $9,446,800 through a boutique Manhattan lender specializing in distressed celebrity assets. The terms were predatory, a 14.2 to 5% interest rate and a strict repayment window. That loan is now precisely 92 days past due. The grace period has vanished. The lenders are at the gate. But it is what Meghan reportedly tried to do to save herself from this financial ruin that has ignited a firestorm of fury within the royal family. According to Prince Harry's sworn courtroom testimony today, the Duchess was at the absolute end of her rope. She wasn't just looking for another Netflix deal or a book advance. She was allegedly attempting to commodify the very essence of her children. The accusation is bone-chilling. Meghan was in advanced negotiations with a shadowy Dubai-based artificial intelligence conglomerate to sell the exclusive biometric image rights of Archie and Lilibet. We are talking about the digital souls of 6th and 7th in the line of succession. This deal would have allowed the AI firm to utilize the children's faces, voices, and likenesses to create permanent, monetized digital avatars for educational and immersive entertainment purposes. It is a bloodline betrayal of the highest order. And the intermediary facilitating this trade of royal DNA for Middle Eastern cash? Once again, the fingerprints of Prince Andrew were found all over the correspondence. He was reportedly using his old trade envoy connections to vouch for the authenticity of the biometric data, acting as the broker for a deal that would turn royal heirs into AI assets. The outrage felt by audiences watching this unfold is matched only by the cold fury within Buckingham Palace. To the British public, this isn't just a financial collapse, it is an act of moral bankruptcy. Using innocent children as human collateral for a failed real estate venture is a line that, once crossed, can never be uncrossed. Prince Harry's voice reportedly broke in the courtroom as he described the realization that his children were being treated as branded intellectual property rather than human beings. Meghan's desperation is now laid bare for the world to see. The glossy veneer of the Archwell brand has shattered, revealing a woman trapped by her own ambition and a 14.2 to 5% interest rate that is ticking every single second. The Montecito mansion is no longer a sanctuary, it is a gilded cage that is being repossessed. But as the financial walls close in, the most dangerous secret of all is beginning to leak from the Sovereign Alpha file. It's a secret that explains why Harry felt he had no choice but to strike now. It centers on a hidden legal trap Meghan set as far back as 2018, a trap designed to ensure that Harry could never, ever tell the truth. This is the Clause 7 revelation, and it is the reason Harry has been a prisoner in his own marriage for nearly 8 years. You won't believe how deep this control really goes. The courtroom fell into a silence so profound it was described by those present as suffocating. The Sovereign Alpha file had just been turned to page 14. It was there, buried in the fine print of a document signed in the weeks before the May 2018 royal wedding, that the world discovered Clause 7. This is not just a legal provision, it is what experts are calling a voice slavery sentence. Clause 7 effectively granted Meghan Markle total and exclusive ownership over Prince Harry's intellectual and physical identity. We are talking about his voice, his likeness, his digital reproduction, and, most disturbingly, his narrative memories. Under this agreement, Harry did not own his own story. Every word he spoke in public, every interview he gave, and every reflection on his late mother, Princess Diana, was legally classified as an asset of Meghan's media empire. The mechanism of this control was a masterclass in legal manipulation. The contract was designed to automatically renew every 18 months unless a formal cancellation notice was filed by both parties. The turning point occurred in July 2023. Sources close to the prince suggest that during that chaotic month, Harry was so overwhelmed by domestic tension and the fallout from his various legal battles that he completely missed the cancellation window. His US-based legal team, allegedly acting under the Duchess's direction, never brought the renewal to his attention. By the time the clock struck midnight on July 31st, Harry was legally bound to Meghan for another 18-month cycle. He had become a prisoner of his own signature, a silent partner in a brand that used his life as raw material for profit. The shock deepened as the Sovereign Alpha file revealed how Prince Andrew was integrated into this scheme. Andrew wasn't just a bystander, he was the validator. He allegedly used his deep knowledge of the royal archives and family secrets to authenticate the private memories and stories Meghan was preparing to sell to high-value bidders. He was the royal seal that turned gossip into high-priced intellectual property. Harry finally realized that he was being liquidated. He was an asset being stripped by his wife and his uncle while the world watched. But Harry has found a nuclear option. In a move that has sent shockwaves through the UK Parliament, the prince is now seeking to nullify the entire contract by invoking the modern interpretation of the Treason Act. His legal argument is as brilliant as it is desperate. By attempting to license and commodify the private history and biometric identity of a prince of the blood and the heirs to the throne, Meghan and Andrew have engaged in an act that undermines the dignity and security of the crown itself. He is essentially accusing his own wife of high treason against the sovereign to break the chains of Clause 7. One court official overheard Harry speaking to his lead counsel during the recess. "If I have to go down for treason just to get my voice back, then let the world watch me burn it all down. The humiliation of being a managed asset is over." Harry has declared war on the contract that enslaved him. But as this legal battle rages, the monarchy is preparing its own response, a response so final it will effectively erase the Sussex name from the digital history of the United Kingdom. While Harry fights Meghan in court, the king is about to activate a protocol that no one thought would ever see the light of day. It is the moment of digital excommunication, and it begins with a single rose gold shield. The purge of the royal line is no longer a threat. It is happening right now. At exactly 2000 hours Greenwich Mean Time, on the evening of February 25, 2026, the digital infrastructure of the British monarchy underwent a surgical extraction. Millions of people refreshing the official royal website witnessed a moment of chilling institutional finality. In the blink of an eye, the names Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor and Lilibet Diana Mountbatten Windsor vanished from the line of succession. In their place, two cold alphanumeric codes appeared, R246 and P12. This was not a technical glitch. It was the activation of the Windsor Protection Protocol 12, the digital excommunication. By replacing the children's names with these classification codes, the Crown has effectively moved them into a status of sovereign wards. They are no longer public figures or commercial assets. They are now classified as protected biological heirs under the direct guardianship of the King. The message to Meghan Markle and the AI conglomerates in Dubai was unambiguous. The children are off limits. They have been pulled behind the great firewall of the monarchy. While the internet was still reeling from the digital purge, a physical signal was being sent from the streets of West London. Princess Catherine, making an unannounced visit to a paediatric centre, appeared in front of the press looking poised and resolute. She was wearing a muted navy coat, but it was the accessory pinned to her lapel that stopped royal commentators in their tracks. It was a small rose gold shield-shaped brooch, a custom piece never before seen in the royal collection. This brooch is the silent herald of Protocol 12. It signifies that the Crown has officially assumed protective custody to safeguard the continuity of the bloodline. Catherine's calm smile was the ultimate checkmate. It signaled to the world that order had been restored and the heirs were safe under the wing of the future Queen. For Meghan Markle, this is the moment of total collapse. by triggering Protocol 12, the King has utilised a rarely invoked constitutional mechanism that overrides all foreign civil agreements. Meghan's custody deal is now worthless. She has no legal standing to demand the children's return to California, nor can she use their images for her Mother of Grace projects. She is officially empty-handed, stripped of her primary leverage, and facing a digital erasure that makes her persona non grata within the institutional history of the United Kingdom. The fallout reached Royal Lodge at the same hour. As the digital purge concluded, the final lights were extinguished at the Duke of York's long-time residence. Prince Andrew has been served with a permanent, non-negotiable eviction notice. Armed officers from the Royal Protection Office were seen at the gates, ensuring that the Duke was delisted and moved to a small, secure cottage on the Norfolk estate. The grand architect of Meghan's financial schemes has been cast into the shadows. The humiliation is complete. Andrew is no longer a prince among men. He is a man under investigation, isolated and ignored. The monarchy has acted with a ruthlessness not seen since the abdication crisis. It has reclaimed its children, secured its digital borders, and punished its traitors. The sense of satisfaction among the British public is palpable. The institution has finally proven that it can outmaneuver the modern forces of commercial piracy and betrayal. However, as the digital dust settles, a new and even more terrifying deadline looms. The eviction of Andrew from Royal Lodge has left behind a mountain of unprocessed evidence. As the forensic teams move into the empty halls of the lodge, they are uncovering 3 million teptin, the Epstein files that Andrew thought were safe. And buried in those files is a secret that Harry didn't even mention in the Sovereign Alpha recording. A secret that ties Meghan Markle to the Epstein circle as far back as 2014. The search has only just begun, and the clock is ticking toward Monday morning. The clean-up at Royal Lodge was supposed to be a routine eviction, but it has turned into the largest forensic operation in the history of the Metropolitan Police. As the removal vans departed in the dead of night, leaving behind piles of what was described as clutter and rubbish, a specialised team from the Digital Crimes Unit moved in. They aren't looking for old furniture. They are currently sifting through exactly 3 million teptin digital files linked to the Jeffrey Epstein saga that Prince Andrew allegedly kept hidden behind the reinforced walls of his private study for years. The sheer volume of data is staggering. 3 million files. These documents, photographs, and encrypted communications were reportedly discovered on a high-capacity server hidden within the basement of Royal Lodge. It appears that in his haste to relocate to Norfolk, the Duke of York failed to complete his digital sanitization. Now, the very evidence he fought to suppress is in the hands of the Crown's investigators. This leads us to the most realistic and terrifying scenario for the House of York. Sources within the Home Office confirm that Prince Andrew is scheduled for a formal interrogation within the next 72 hours. The clock is ticking. This isn't a friendly chat over tea. It is a high-stakes interrogation regarding national security and his involvement in the Bahraini financial web. But the real shocker is how the authorities knew exactly where to look. The Sovereign Alpha revelation has confirmed the ultimate betrayal. Prince Harry made a deal with Prince William. It was a cold, calculated trade. Harry provided the key to Andrew's hidden archives in exchange for the permanent royal protection and wardship of Archie and Lilibet. Harry chose to sacrifice his uncle to secure his children's future. William, known to be hard as nails when it comes to the survival of the monarchy, reportedly accepted the deal without hesitation. The message is clear. Andrew is the sacrificial lamb, and his 72-hour countdown to total ruin has begun. Before we reveal the final, most explosive piece of evidence found under the floorboards, you need to act now. This story is moving faster than the mainstream media can track. Hit the subscribe button and click the bell icon immediately. If you want to see the monarchy finally cleansed of this corruption, comment the word reckoning right now. We are monitoring the situation second by second, and our subscribers will be the first to receive the emergency broadcast when the interrogation begins. The end game has arrived. Among the 3 million files, forensic teams have recovered a single, blood-red external hard drive hidden beneath the floorboards of the Royal Lodge Library. On this drive is an audio file recorded on the night of May 18, 2018, just hours before the Sussex wedding. The file is titled The Spares Payback. In this recording, Prince Andrew is allegedly heard detailing a plan to Meghan Markle on how to use Crown assets to bypass King Charles, then the Prince of Wales, and secure an independent financial empire. Why did Harry keep this for 8 years? And why did he wait until this exact moment to hand a duplicate to the FBI? The contents of The Spares Payback suggest that Andrew holds the master key to Meghan's ultimate downfall, and Harry has just turned that key in the lock. Do not close this window. Do not look away. The truth behind the red hard drive is being decrypted as we speak. Buckingham Palace is reportedly bracing for an announcement that will redefine the British throne forever. The final ultimatum has been served, and the most shocking revelation of the century is only minutes away. Stay tuned. The world is about to change.
On Fergie, emails between her and Epstein seem to show that she may have had a crush on him.
The unthinkable has finally happened. This is breaking news for March 2nd, 2026, and the British monarchy will never be the same. The line of succession has been shattered, not by death, but by the cold, steel click of handcuffs. For the first time in nearly 400 years, a senior member of the House of Windsor has been taken into state custody. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, the man who once held the titles of Prince and Duke, is officially a prisoner of the Crown. This was not a mistake. This was not a police blunder. This was a high-precision, coordinated surgical strike authorized from the very top. Our investigative team has obtained internal logs from Kensington Palace that confirm the architect of this downfall was not the king, but the heir, Prince William. To understand how a prince becomes a common suspect in less than 15 minutes, we have to go back to the night of October 29th, 2025. At precisely 10 o'clock p.m., a 48-minute war room meeting took place inside the private quarters of Buckingham Palace. The atmosphere was described as suffocating. King Charles sat across from his son, Prince William, and his sister, Princess Anne. Reports from within the room suggest William leaned over the heavy oak desk, his voice a low, steady blade, and told his father, "If he stays, the crown dies with you." We cut the cord now. No more excuses. No more delays. Charles reportedly hesitated, mentioning the maternal protection their mother had once provided, but William was immovable. He presented a dossier, a collection of encrypted emails and financial trails that made Andrew's position not just embarrassing, but legally terminal. By the time the clock struck 10:48 p.m., the king had signed the most devastating document in modern royal history, the Crown Immunity Waiver. Before we reveal the contents of that secret waiver, hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. We are tracking this investigation minute by minute as the dossier leaks. If you believe the monarchy is doing the right thing, or if this is a step too far, drop a comment below with the word justice or betrayal. We read every single one. At 8:14 a.m. on the morning of October 30th, 2025, the gate of Royal Lodge swung open. But it wasn't for a royal motorcade. The Metropolitan Police's Specialist Protection Command moved in with total silence. There were no sirens, no flashing lights, just 12 minutes of clinical execution. The most chilling detail? At exactly 8:22 a.m., as the officers were informing Andrew of his rights, he reached for his phone. He placed a single call to his nephew, Prince William. The call rang for 20 seconds. William did not pick up. At that exact moment, the Prince of Wales was seen at a pre-planned charity engagement in London. Witnesses say his face was a mask of iron-cold indifference, even as his uncle was being escorted out of a side service door, the same door used by the staff who had abandoned the prince just days before. This brings us to the mechanism of the betrayal. This was a three-step isolation process designed to leave Andrew defenseless. First, the king cut off all private funding, making it impossible for Andrew to maintain his legal defense or his private security. Second, every remaining shred of his Royal Highness status was surgically removed. Third, and most importantly, the signing of the Crown Immunity Waiver. How does it work? Usually, members of the royal family are shielded from certain civil and criminal proceedings under the doctrine of sovereign immunity. By signing that waiver, King Charles effectively stripped the royal from Andrew's name in the eyes of the law. It triggered an immediate green light for the Crown Prosecution Service to act on charges of misconduct in public office. Andrew thought he was protected by blood. He forgot that the Crown is an institution that survives by consuming its own when necessary. As he sat in the back of an unmarked grey vehicle, stripped of his titles, his home, and his family's loyalty, he wasn't just a disgraced duke, he was a ghost. But why did William push for the arrest now? What was in that dossier that was so toxic the king had to sacrifice his own brother? The answer involves a trail of money that leads directly to an offshore account and a name we haven't heard in years. Stay tuned. The second part of this dossier is even darker. This is the story they didn't want you to see, and it's only just beginning. The clock struck 9:45 a.m. While Andrew Mountbatten Windsor was being processed in a Stark police intake facility. The atmosphere inside the morning room at Buckingham Palace was one of lethal efficiency. Princess Anne, long regarded as the enforcer of the House of Windsor, was not there to offer sibling support. She was there to oversee the final demolition of her brother's legacy. For decades, Anne has been the silent, steely critic of Andrew's pay-to-play lifestyle. She saw the monarchy as a life of service. He saw it as a VIP pass to the world's most dangerous circles. Now, the mask has slipped. Sources within the palace reveal that Anne didn't just support the arrest, she facilitated the evidence gathering. This brings us to a detail so specific, it sends a chill through the halls of Windsor. As forensic investigators entered the library at Royal Lodge, they were directed toward a heavy 19th century portrait hanging on the north wall. Behind the ornate gilded frame sat a high-security wall safe. Andrew believed this was his final sanctuary, a place where his darkest secrets were shielded by royal privilege. He was wrong. Princess Anne reportedly stepped forward and personally handed the investigators the 6-digit combination. There was no sibling loyalty. There was only cold, hard duty. Inside that safe, investigators didn't just find stacks of currency. They found a handwritten ledger, a favours log detailing precise interactions, dates, and names of foreign entities who had purchased access to the British state through Andrew. If this level of betrayal makes your blood boil, you are not alone. Share this video on your social media right now. People need to see the depth of this corruption. And if you're still with us, make sure you've hit that subscribe button. The next revelation involves a specific sum of money that Andrew thought he had successfully laundered. The confrontation that led to this moment began in early 2024. Anne, in her role overseeing the Crown Estate's internal audits, confronted Andrew about a massive discrepancy in the Royal Lodge maintenance funds. The amount was exactly £2,150,000. When Anne demanded an explanation, Andrew's response was a blatant lie. He claimed the money had been invested in a high-yield portfolio to ensure the estate's future. But Anne is the most diligent member of the family. She tracked the wire transfers. The money hadn't gone to an investment firm. It had been diverted through 3 shell companies to pay off a hush-money installment for a known associate of Jeffrey Epstein. The betrayal was total. Andrew was using public maintenance funds, taxpayer-subsidized money, to silence the ghosts of his own criminal past. According to our sources, Anne took this discovery directly to King Charles. She didn't just present a complaint, she presented internal palace memo number 44 read. In the chilling language of the intelligence community, the memo officially labelled Andrew a liability to the national interest. Anne's recommendation was brutal and final. Total excommunication. She told the king, "He is not just a disgraced brother, he is a cancer on the institution. We cut him out, or we all go down." Anne didn't just want Andrew out of his home, she wanted him stripped from the history books. She ordered the immediate seizure of his private archives, ensuring that every letter, every memo, and every digital footprint was handed over to the authorities. But as the investigation moves from the library to the bank accounts, a new name has surfaced. A name that connects Andrew's debts to a foreign power. Who was actually funding the Duke's lifestyle when the king stopped the checks? The answer is buried in a series of emails from a billionaire who hasn't been seen in public for 3 years. The shadow of treason is growing longer, and the enforcer is just getting started. While Andrew was the face of the scandal, the investigation has now turned its sights on the woman who acted as his financial backdoor, Sarah Ferguson. The Duchess of York. For years, she was portrayed as the loyal ex-wife standing by her man. But the paper trail suggests a far more sinister reality. Sarah Ferguson wasn't just a supportive spouse, she was the vital gear in a money-making machine that sold the British crown to the highest bidder. The evidence is no longer a matter of tabloid speculation. Documents recently unsealed by the US Department of Justice confirm that Sarah Ferguson accepted exactly $15,000 from Jeffrey Epstein. On the surface, it sounds like a rounding error for a royal, but in the world of high-level corruption, that money was a hook. It was used to pay off her mounting personal debts, and in exchange, it opened the gates of Windsor to a convicted predator. If it makes you angry that a member of the royal family was effectively on the payroll of a sex offender, then you need to hear the rest of this. This was just the tip of a $5 million iceberg. Before we dive into the offshore accounts, take a second to hit that like button. It tells the algorithm that this investigation matters. And if you're as fed up with this entitlement as we are, comment below with the word accountable. The investigation has uncovered a devastating financial trace from 2011. While the UK was recovering from a global recession, Sarah reportedly brokered a secret meeting between Andrew and a Kazakh billionaire. The price for this introduction? A staggering commission of £4,500,000. This wasn't a transparent business deal. The money was funneled through a complex web of offshore accounts in the British Virgin Islands, designed to disappear before the taxman or the palace auditors could ever see it. Here is exactly how the York laundering mechanism worked. First, Sarah would accumulate millions in lifestyle debt buying luxury goods and maintaining a lifestyle she couldn't afford. This created the debt. Next came the bait. Foreign entities, sensing an opportunity, would offer to settle those debts. The action followed immediately. Andrew would use his status as a UK trade envoy to influence policy, open doors, or smooth over property deals for those same entities. The result? The Yorks stayed in luxury, while the United Kingdom's diplomatic reputation was sold for parts. The reality of this betrayal hit a breaking point last Thursday. At exactly 2:15 a.m., Sarah was spotted leaving a high-security private residence in Mayfair. She wasn't escorted by royal protection. She was alone, clutching a single red briefcase. Our sources indicate this residence is linked to a former legal associate of Epstein. Inside that briefcase, investigators believe, are the original printouts of the 2011 email chains. In one specific exchange, Andrew reportedly wrote to Epstein, "We are in this together." A voiceover reconstruction of Sarah's frantic call to a confidant shortly after that meeting reveals the panic. She reportedly said, "If they find the BVI records, if they see the signatures, we're all finished. Everything is gone." She wasn't worried about the morality of the deals, she was worried about the trail. While the public was told they were a divorced couple living under one roof for the sake of the children, the truth was they were partners in a global influence peddling scheme. But as the authorities close in on the money, they've stumbled upon something even more disturbing. It's not just about the parents. The investigation has found suspicious gifts sent to accounts linked to their daughters, Beatrice and Eugenie. Were the princesses used as unwitting shields for their father's greed, or were they part of the plan? The next chapter of this dossier exposes the collateral damage of the York family business. And it is a betrayal that Prince William will never forgive. This is the chapter Buckingham Palace fought tooth and nail to bury. While the world was distracted by the headlines of Andrew's eviction, a far more dangerous shadow was moving through the corridors of Royal Lodge. This isn't just about a disgraced prince anymore. This is a total breach of United Kingdom national security. We are talking about a High Court judge's warning, a Chinese intelligence operation, and the moment the inner sanctum of the monarchy was compromised for cash. To understand how this happened, we have to look at the financial gap created in early 2024. After King Charles officially cut Andrew's annual allowance of £249,000, the man formerly known as the Duke of York became desperate. He was a man with a multi-million-pound lifestyle and zero legitimate income. That is when the United Front Work Department, an arm of the Chinese Communist Party, found their weak link. The incident occurred on February 19, 2024. It was Andrew's 64th birthday party. While the public saw a quiet family gathering at Royal Lodge, internal security logs tell a different story. One specific guest, a businessman later identified as a person of interest by MI5, entered the premises without undergoing the mandatory vetting process. He didn't just attend a dinner, he gained unusual trust with Andrew. If it sickens you that a member of the royal family would bypass national security protocols for a private investor, you need to hear what happened next. Hit the like button right now to help us get this truth past the censors. And if you believe Andrew should face a treason trial, comment traitor below. Your engagement keeps this investigation alive. The mechanism of this infiltration was a classic bait and switch. Under the guise of private trade investment, Andrew reportedly shared sensitive briefs from his 2010 missions to Southeast Asia. These weren't just business brochures, they were confidential government reports on trade routes and diplomatic vulnerabilities. The evidence is digital and undeniable. Government GCHQ monitors flagged exactly 3 specific encrypted transmissions originating from the Royal Lodge Wi-Fi network on the night of the party. The transmissions occurred between 11 o'clock p.m. and 1 o'clock a.m. These data packets were sent to a server in Beijing, known for hosting intelligence assets. Andrew's defense, according to a leaked voiceover transcript of his internal palace appeal, was shockingly arrogant. He reportedly told a senior aide, "I am only one man. If I am asked to do something for the country's trade, I do it to the best of my ability. I don't see why my friends are suddenly a matter for the Secret Service." But the Joint Intelligence Committee disagreed. They didn't see a friend, they saw a breach. The authority behind this is a 2024 High Court ruling that shielded the businessman's name but confirmed his links to foreign influence operations. The deadline for Andrew's reckoning is now set. Parliament's Intelligence and Security Committee has issued a formal subpoena for his private communication logs, including all encrypted messaging apps used between 2024 and 2026. That deadline is December 15th. If Andrew Mountbatten Windsor didn't just sell his house, but sold state secrets to pay his mounting legal bills, the titles he lost are the least of his worries. Under the National Security Act, the consequences are permanent. He isn't just a disgraced royal anymore. He is a suspect in a treason investigation. And as the removal vans begin to circle Royal Lodge, the question is no longer where he will live, but whether he will be spending the rest of his life behind bars. The sanctuary is gone. The weak link has finally snapped. Stay with us, because the next part of this dossier reveals exactly how the king reacted when he found out his brother was talking to Beijing. The siege of Royal Lodge is finally over. For 15 years, this 30-room mansion set across 98 acres of Windsor Great Park stood as a fortress of denial. But this morning, the gates are wide open, and the man who called himself the Pharaoh of Windsor is gone. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has been evicted not by a court bailiff, but by the cold, legal precision of his own brother, King Charles III. For years, Andrew believed he was untouchable, hiding behind a 75-year lease he signed back in 2003. He thought that piece of paper was his eternal shield. He was wrong. He underestimated a king who is no longer interested in protecting the family's favourite son, but is instead obsessed with protecting the survival of the monarchy. Here is exactly how the Great Eviction was executed. It wasn't a sudden shouting match. It was a slow, agonizing legal trap. Every lease has a maintenance clause. Under the terms Andrew signed 2 decades ago, he was contractually obligated to spend at least £7,500,000 on structural repairs and upkeep. Last year, King Charles commissioned a private, forensic survey of the property. The results were devastating. The report found exactly £2,100,000 in critical structural neglect. From damp-infested walls to a crumbling roof, the Royal Lodge was falling apart under Andrew's watch. By failing to maintain the property to the required royal standard, Andrew defaulted on the lease. If you find it satisfying to see a man finally held accountable for the privilege he abused, hit that like button right now. We are watching the end of an era of entitlement. If you think Andrew deserves to lose everything, or if the king is being too harsh, comment dethroned or fair below. We want to hear your take on this royal power move. The kill shot came when Charles officially refused to pay for Andrew's £3 million a year private security detail. Without state-funded protection, and with the house in a state of structural default, the property became uninsurable. Under United Kingdom law, a Crown Estate property cannot be occupied if it cannot be insured. The trap was shut. The reality of the fall hit home at 4:00 a.m. last week. In the pre-dawn darkness, removal vans were spotted at the rear service entrance of Royal Lodge. In a moment of sheer, pathetic irony, Andrew was seen personally carrying a collection of teddy bears to a waiting vehicle. These are the same stuffed animals that Paul Burrell famously claimed the maids had to arrange in a specific mathematical order every single morning. The man who once flew combat missions in the Falklands War was reduced to clutching childhood toys as he was forced out of his palace. The final ultimatum was delivered on 3 pages of Clarence House stationery. It wasn't a request, it was a directive. The document gave Andrew until exactly 5:00 p.m. on Friday to vacate the premises or face a formal forfeiture of lease proceeding in the High Court. Such a trial would have made his financial records public, a risk Andrew could not afford to take. He surrendered. Andrew is now being downsized to a small, anonymous cottage on the Sandringham estate, a property that is privately owned by the king and far from the public eye. He has gone from a 30-room mansion to a residence that doesn't even have a dedicated security gate. The pharaoh has been dethroned, but as Andrew moves into the shadows of Sandringham, he carries a secret with him, a digital file that could burn the entire House of Windsor to the ground. Because even a man in exile has one last card to play, and the next part of this investigation reveals exactly what Andrew is planning for the day his trial begins. The war isn't over. It's just moved to a smaller house. Stay tuned. The endgame has officially arrived. As of today, March 2nd, 2026, the first formal hearing at the Old Bailey is underway, and the British monarchy is standing on the edge of a constitutional precipice. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor is no longer just a disgraced royal. He is the central figure in a criminal trial that will determine whether the House of Windsor can survive its own secrets. Our investigative team has analysed the 3 possible outcomes for this trial, and the scenario tree is grim. The first possibility is the exile scenario, a 10% likelihood where Andrew vanishes into a remote property on the Sandringham estate, citing failing health to stall the investigation indefinitely. But that window has likely closed. The public's anger is too hot. The second path is the settlement scenario, a 30% likelihood where Andrew pays a second, even larger settlement to avoid a criminal conviction for misconduct in public office. But there is a massive problem. Andrew is financially bankrupt. With King Charles cutting off the duchy funds, there is no private wealth left to drain. This leads us to the most probable outcome, with a 60% likelihood, the conviction. The Metropolitan Police have built a case so airtight that Andrew could become the first direct descendant of a British monarch to serve time in a modern correctional facility. If the idea of a prince in a prison cell sounds like justice to you, hit the subscribe button right now. We are the only channel tracking the court transcripts in real time. And if you think the king is doing this to save his own skin, comment cover up below. If you think it's pure justice, comment final chapter. The reason scenario 3 is becoming the reality is because of a secret legislative move happening behind the scenes. The government is currently fast-tracking the Succession Removal of Disgraced Members Act. This isn't just a legal formality, it is a surgical amputation. By removing Andrew from the line of succession where he currently sits at 8th, King Charles is burning the infected limb to save the body of the monarchy. He is telling the world that the crown belongs to the people, not to the predators. The timeline of this downfall has been a series of calculated explosions. It began on December 15, 2025, with the subpoena deadline for Andrew's encrypted communication logs. It escalated in January 2026 with the release of Paul Burrell's memoir, The Royal Insider, which provided the psychological blueprint for Andrew's crimes. And it has culminated today, March 2nd, with Andrew facing a judge as a private citizen. But as Andrew sits in that high-security holding room today, he isn't thinking about the titles he lost or the 30 rooms of Royal Lodge. He is thinking about a ghost from his past. Our sources confirm that a single document was recently recovered from a high-security safe in the US Virgin Islands, a safe previously thought to have been emptied after Jeffrey Epstein's death. This document contains Andrew's signature next to a date in 2001. It is a date that does not match his Pizza Express alibi. It is a date that places him exactly where he swore under oath he never was. The staff have spoken. The king has acted. The police have the cuffs. But as the first witnesses take the stand, the true fear inside the palace isn't about what Andrew did. It's about who else was in the room when he did it. Andrew has always said he would protect the family, but a man facing a life sentence has very little reason to stay silent. The question isn't if Andrew will fall, it is who he will grab onto as he hits the floor. Is Charles sacrificing his brother for justice, or is he throwing him to the wolves to hide his own involvement in the York family business? The trial is just beginning, and the most dangerous evidence hasn't even been read yet. Stay with us. The next update will change everything you thought you knew about the king. This is breaking news, and we are